Hi, this is Midnight. I just wanted to apologize in advance here that episodes 1 to 3 of Mistborn unfortunately have some loud background music that I did not notice until after recording episode 3 and finally getting a chance to go through and edit those 3 episodes. Again, I'm very sorry for this. I believe you can hear us, you can make out our voices decently, but it's a little annoying in my opinion, and I can't seem to fix it. So, yeah, I apologize, and it will be gone after episode 3 of Mistborn. Thank you. Welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. We are on episode 1 of Mistborn. We read chapters 1 through 4 this week. Before I get into it, did you guys reread the prologue?
Yes.
No.
No, okay.
And all the stuff you missed.
I didn't miss anything.
I
missed a bunch.
I didn't miss anything.
I did understand better.
You understand what?
I did understand better by rereading it.
Yeah. Did you guys have any just general thoughts about the prologue before we head into chapter 1?
Aside from all of the things that you missed.
I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, you kind of suck at reading prologues.
You guys wanted that.
I know, but you suck at it. You need to get better, so we gotta keep making you do it, so you'll get better.
Mm-hmm. Anyways,
Just
you
how
guys
that
have any
works.
thoughts about the prologue?
It explains a lot about certain people and certain
Stuff
things
you.
of the society at large. Definitely makes you scared of Steel Inquisitors from the start. So.
Chapter 1. We have, obviously, it's the start of part 1. Part 1 is called The Survivor of Hassan. And then, so we get these little epigraphs at the start of every chapter in Mistborn. So I'm gonna read out the little epigraph for each chapter as well, because they're pretty cool things. Only like his main actual series books like Mistborn and Stormlight have them, unlike his smaller one single books. So the epigraph for chapter 1 was, I consider myself to be a man of principle, but what man does not? Even the cutthroat, I have noticed, believe his actions to be moral after a fashion. Perhaps another person, reading of my life, would name me a religious tyrant. He could call me arrogant. What is to make that man's opinion any less valid than my own? I guess it all comes down to one fact. In the end, I'm the one with the armies. So do you think it's true that all men consider themselves to be moral? And what do you think this might say about the book?
First off, yes, I think that everybody believes that they are, in the right, that what they're doing is the correct option, no matter what it is. We see it as being bad because ours is an opposite ideal, but to them, that they're always trying to do what they think is best. I know this. I don't remember what the quote was, but in D&D I live by this specific quote of the fact that no party is ever necessarily wrong, just differ to what your belief is. So in D&D standards, no enemy that you're facing is actually evil, but may have just what you see as a morally evil opinion in life. But to them, you are actually the evil that they are trying to expunge from the world.
What do you think, Darkness?
What's the original question?
Do you think it's true that all men consider themselves to be moral, and what do you think this might say about the book?
I mean, I guess it's true, but I see it as like human beings in general.
I think that's what they mean by men. The old-fashioned thing, like men as people. So all people.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, man, well, man. It's something in both of us.
But yeah,
But
so what do
yes,
you guys?
I feel like they need to be defended.
But yeah, what do you guys think though this might say about this book that all men consider themselves to be on the correct side?
That the rebellion, as well as the people they're fighting against, are neither necessarily evil. They both have their reasonings that they believe it is just to do what they're doing. Now, I don't know how that works in my opinion on some of these other people. The fact that they can just go have sex with people without their willingness and then discard of them, that doesn't seem morally thing, but maybe there's somewhere in it if they were to explain why they see it as morality. But
Well, it's explained later that the reason they do that is because they don't want half-breeds, because they don't want Ska having allomancy.
But why have sexual relations with them in the first place when you know you're going to discard of them? Like, you will discard of them.
Everyone just needs to be gay, then you don't have to worry about pregnancy.
I agree.
Although the rape thing is still an issue, but at least you don't have to kill them afterwards. Half of that is cured.
Well, I don't know. So here's the thing, right? Even if they don't kill them, right? They've stated before that they can't have pretty Ska. So, like,
well, the reason you don't want pretty
Ska, what are you gonna do?
Well, the reason you don't want pretty Ska is because then it's gonna tempt the guy into raping them, and then they have to kill them.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you take the rape off the table, like, you can now have pretty Ska. I mean, I feel like you'd have a lot more pretty Ska.
Darkness.
Pretty people make pretty people.
What's your thoughts about how this kind of epigraph, the thoughts behind it, is going to affect the book?
Well, I mean, it's all political and political stuff in general. They see it their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, it's definitely gonna influence people on all sides. I don't know. I just
want you guys to keep in mind that the epigraphs tend to have, I feel like, themes to them. They're important.
Kind of like the orbs in each part of the chapter that we didn't actually get our thing.
Oh, the aeons, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Alright, so going straight into chapter 1, we get to meet Vin, who is our main character. Although Kelsier actually has a lot more POVs than I remember him.
Oh, yeah.
I totally thought he had way less POVs, but no, he
you were like, oh, this man's gonna be like Vasher, and I'm like,
I totally thought he was.
He was almost in every fucking chapter we read.
Yeah, okay. So
if he wasn't in every.
I got it. Obviously, look, it's been a few years since I read these books. I obviously don't have a great memory. I know Vin's the main character, even though Kelsier is obviously has a lot more point of view. For some reason, I just remembered them more from Vin's point of view, his parts.
So I do. Before we get into it, I do kind of like the way that it's structured, where like some of like the chapters aren't just one person.
Yeah,
it melds them very well in there, so that you get to still get the full dialogue, and it definitely does make it seem more as if Vin is a main character and like everybody else is there as side characters, even though you get a point of view from Kelsier at one point.
Yeah. Well, I think sorry.
Okay. But like I think aside from that, the only thing that I didn't like, and it could just be an audiobook thing, I'm not 100% sure, but like at least two of the chapters, I remember at the end, it almost seemed as if the chapter had ended and they continued into the next chapter, but then they did. Then like I get the next thing, it goes chapter 3, and I'm like like it didn't seem like if you took in the audiobook, if you took off chapter 3, it would almost seem as if it just kept flowing, like it was one chapter, because it almost like started and stopped at the exact same point. And both the chapters I remember, it almost seemed as if you got like a bit of the chapter and then they would re-enter that thing, almost as if when you watch an episode of like a show, they give you like the last bit of what happened as like the starting of the show. And I'm like, that just seemed really like it was like you get double the information of the same information.
I think maybe as I said, I don't remember if this is true, but I'm wondering if as Vin learns more, we get less of Kelsier's point of views, because I think the whole point of having less of Kelsier's point of views is because he's a teacher. Like, all of Brandon's books are like, you learn along with a character about the magic system. So, like, obviously Vin's the main character because she doesn't know about allomancy, whereas Kelsier obviously does. He obviously has like a lot more in depth, as we'll go into later. So you're cutting in and out a little bit sometimes, Mythic.
Yeah, I figure like it's the internet, this hotel.
Oh, is it having issues?
Yeah, it keeps going down.
Rip. Alright. So we meet Vin, and as she watches ash fall from the sky onto Luthadel. She's sitting in a watch hole at the crew's safe house for solitude, not because she's on watch. Her brother Reen had taught her not to trust anyone, including by betraying her himself. A boy named Ulaf then sticks his head into the room and says Kammen's been looking for her. Vin thinks that this is the exact reason why she's hiding. She knows that Ulaf is gangly and naive, or as naive as one could be growing up in the underworld. Reen had told her that ruthlessness was the most practical of emotions. Vin leaves the safe house, which she knows is through a stone tunnel beneath a storefront. Notes the job will take place in a richer part of town. She notes that Kammen is going for a very dangerous job of scamming noblemen and obligators, but it beat working in the textile mills or forges. She walks through the Skathslums and knows she'll never be as free as Reen had made certain of when he left. So, what was your first impression of Vin?
I thought, I don't know. It's just at first I thought she was like a bit of a pushover, essentially. But like I get it, you know, because everything that's happening. But I mean, I don't think I could handle just like the sheer disrespect that happens later.
Yeah, she's got a lot of issues.
Yeah, I was.
You've thought previous characters in books have had issues.
Yeah. You see, the way she has like trust issues is the same way I have trust issues with each one of these books.
What do you think, Mythic?
I mean, it's hard to remember what I thought originally, because like it definitely changed between the 4 chapters. But I feel like I remember feeling a lot more like she was a main character trying to be a background character. And it kind of frustrated me because she obviously has power, and it annoyed me that she just kind of let this person basically beat her up and all this stuff when like she's the reason he's even where he's at in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was like, it just didn't make sense to me for somebody who should be better than that person. And I guess I kind of was annoyed with her at first, and then kind of get a little bit later on some like of her backstory and like her belief system, I guess, and how she's kind of almost once again hindered by this other person and his thought patterns.
Yeah,
and
she's very like, hindered by her brothers.
Yeah.
Because I think she knows. I think maybe it's all the way in chapter 4. She knows that like her brother basically raised her. So, and he's been also very abusive, so she's kind of just been like, this is the way things are, this is how I get by in life. So, yeah, I mean, we will learn more about her past through the book, but yeah, she's had a hard life. Life has not been good for her.
I really like the way they're depicting, like, how much her, like, past has traumatized her.
Yeah.
And I have a very strong feeling that that's gonna get in the way of something big in the future. Like, she's gonna have to break the fucking thoughts, like, what she's been taught by her brother at some point, and she's not gonna know if she has, like, if she can do it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's so ingrained in her that she, like,
have a
hears
thought
his
of her own?
voice.
Yeah, that's another. I have a theory on that in the first place, but the fact that I don't know if she's actually hearing the voice or if somebody's actually talking to her. Maybe her brother's using one of these powers. I don't know, because we haven't figured out what all of them do.
Maybe it's the fucking deity of this fucking place, bro. Wait.
Oh, what was his name? God damn it!
Lord
What was
Ruler?
the dude's name?
Lord Ruler?
The
No,
fucking
the storyteller.
Oh, Hoyt?
No, the storyteller. Hoyt. Yeah, maybe Hoyt is in the background.
Hoyt is really mean. So when Vin sees Kamen, he angrily asks where she was. She looks down to not show any confidence, but he backhands her across the face anyways, causing her to fall against a wall. She takes it silently. Kamen says she can't mess up the job because it's worth 10,000 boxings, which I'm assuming you guys kind of figured out is their currency.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as you said that.
Yeah. Vin wonders if the rebellion to the north, where Themos Trusting was murdered, was putting him on edge because it would make the nobles more on edge. Vin glances up at Kamen and he goes to slap her again, but she uses a little luck, calming his nervousness. He pauses for a second before sighing and turning away from her. Vin then notes that Kamen is wearing a very expensive disguise and that as long as he keeps his anger in check, he is the best actor of any thief. So what was your first impression of Kamen?
Which one is Kamen the one that hits her?
Yeah, Kamen's the crew leader that hits her.
Yeah, okay. That I wanted his ass to die numerous times. No, apparently that doesn't. Alright, never mind. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
What do you mean he's the coolest character so far?
Between Vin and Kamen, Kamen's the coolest.
I definitely think Kelsey is.
Not Lord Trusting? From the prologue?
Was that?
The guy from the prologue that rapes people?
The rape woman? No.
Yeah.
Lord Chesty.
He's dead
Lord
anyway,
Chesty.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Lord Chesty should have been ruler.
The Lord Ruler?
Yeah.
I see.
I'm cringy so bad. I'm gonna get canceled.
I mean, I wish he was a Steel Inquisitor so somebody could put spikes through his fucking face.
But then he'd have more power.
Maybe.
So Vin then notes that Kamen is...
We don't know how they're made yet.
Yeah, we don't
What
know
is it with? What is it with body modifications in every single one of the fucking books?
I mean, wait. Has there been a body modifications?
I'm assuming Darkness is talking about Lifeless in Warbreaker. And then the Dakor.
Not only that, but the way that he can also, like, Asher can change his body and shit. So.
I mean, okay. Well, when you say body modifications, I was thinking, like, spikes through the eyes, bone armor under your skin.
Yeah.
Okay, but like a body modification can also be kind of raises that too.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. But I mean, I didn't even remember tattoos being a big thing in Warbreaker either, though. You know what I'm saying? But I guess if you lump in his power to change himself, his body, I guess, yeah, modifies his bodies.
Not only that, but you also got to think about the tongue thing.
Oh, Sabron's tongue getting cut out.
Yeah.
Took me a second.
but that didn't like when you say it, I'm thinking you're like, about. Did it though? I mean, yeah, it dampened him, I guess. Yeah. Made it so he couldn't use certain things.
Yeah, they're involved in some sort of way in every fucking part of it, though.
Yeah.
Like it all involves fucking magic in some way.
Anyway, so Vin then notes that Kamen is pretending to be a lowly noble going through hard times. He's working with a man named Theron who comes in and asks about Vin. Kamen says she's no one, but Theron continues to look her over. Vin notes that she barely looks her age of 16, but that some men prefer that, which is lovely. He luckily turns away without Vin having to use any look.
Sanderson definitely is like pushing a.
This is specifically his darkest book. He
Here.
wrote this in the time where like super dark, edgy books were like a huge thing. And he says, I think he said before that he kind of regrets like how dark Mistborn is, and he probably won't write anything like as dark as this trilogy. Again, like there's a lot of like really fucked up people.
In all honesty, I actually enjoy that kind of a book because it shows the gritty realism of life. Like, like when I play D&D, I have to make sure certain certain players are okay with some of the gritty stuff that could possibly happen, because like it's an open world, and in my opinion, everything could happen. Anything that can happen in real life should be able to happen in the game. And so I don't like explicitly talk about things, but they are there and they happen. And like, you know, and I leave it open to people's interpretations, but I let them understand that, you know, it's a realism world. Like people could get raped or get, you know, other things that possibly could happen. I mean, in D&D specifically, we're so happy with being able to murder people and like not have a problem with that. But then you jump to the other spectrum and it's like complete 180 of like the thought pattern, and it doesn't make sense to me or something. But yeah, so I mean, I like this form of book. It kind of saddens me that you say he's kind of stopped doing it after the trilogy.
Like, it's not that it's... I mean, this is definitely his darkest book. I wouldn't say, like, other books don't have, like, dark elements to them, but it's definitely, like... I don't really think he, like, specifically gets into, like, rape of young-looking girls. Much.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a little... Like, you're really touching that line kind of idea, because... But, like, just in general, like how realism that is, like that I enjoy. I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
But the fact that he doesn't tip over the line and make things that, like, you know, are a little more fictitious but still gruesome in nature is kind of good to me, I guess. I mean, I enjoy some of those things too. I see a lot of it on Twitter, where people come up with sadistic ideas and stuff like that, and it's interesting because I like seeing the way that the mind works and the way that people come up with some of these interesting things. And some of the people that come up with these aren't like psychotic people. They're people who have overactive imaginations, and so like book writers, in my opinion. But that's definitely one of the hooking points for me for this book, 100%.
So once Theron leaves the room, Vin tries to convince Cameron to use ska-looking servants instead of the fancier servants. Cameron raises his hand to slap her, and Vin braces herself, not willing to use any more luck. But he stops himself and asks why she does this, knowing of the debts her brother had left. He tells her that she's lucky he didn't sell her to the whore masters, and that he should have gotten rid of her months ago. So yeah, apparently, although Cameron's like really terrible to her, like I think that's a big thing in this book, is like there's like these like weird sides of like this person's really horrible, but they're also kind of doing okay things. Like he's not selling her off to the whore masters, but he still beats her constantly, and like things like that. Like her brother beat her constantly, but apparently like we learn later on that like he protected her from getting raped from some of the crew members they were with. We learn that later on in these chapters. So like it's like this weird duality of like both protection and abuse.
Yeah, everybody has their own form of morality and how far they're willing to go on certain things. I mean, if you look at things as like singular objects, you could be like, this part's evil and this part's not evil, and then like, you know, you put that into a complete person, and it's like, well, where do you put them on that spectrum? I still don't like the guy, don't get me wrong, but that's not because of him though. It's actually more because of her, because like specifically this part where she's like, you shouldn't be using these people because it will kind of give the person that we're trying to fool the different impression. And I'm like, she's smart.
Yeah,
why are
she's
you
very smart.
Not using her for her intelligence? You're not using it for your intelligence. You're almost casting her aside by smacking her, and I'm surprised she still stays with you. Like that it was, like I said, it wasn't as much him as much as it was her that I had a problem in that situation. Like, yeah, sure, he's a terrible person, but she obviously has this power, and she could probably use it to some aspect. And then, like, later we find out how it's really not that vast of a power, I guess. Like, she gets much stronger when she figures, well, not figures out, like, was given something else, and
Yeah.
like,
Which
you
we'll
kind
get
of
into.
understand. Then it's like, okay, well, yeah, I understand she didn't really want to use it up because she understood that she's a limitation,
Mhm.
and like, but I still don't know. Even afterward, I still don't feel like if she was given that vast amount of power, I don't know if she still would have, like, I feel like she still would have been subservient.
Well, we'll find out later, because for future episodes, she'll actually have access to stronger powers. She's.
And as we all know, this man is still alive.
Mhm. But anyway, so before, what I wanted to ask at the end of that was, what do you think about the fact that Finn's brother left her? Do you have any thoughts about that? He's apparently left her with all his deaths behind.
At
I don't know
first,
really what to think.
at first, I thought he was dead. At first, for some reason. But I'm thinking, what if he somehow joined? Oh, that would kind of make sense. What if he like joined the side they're trying to fight?
Oh, like join like the
Rebellion?
Obligators
What
or
is the other-
something?
That one's the nice side, yeah.
The Obligators, yeah. Like the
Yeah.
Steel Ministry.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Could be a
That'd be
thing for
interesting.
sure.
Because technically,
I'm going in a different route, but yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
pretty sure that it was said. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was later, but I'm pretty sure it was said that he was like her half brother or something.
I don't
Yeah.
remember. Does it say he's
is.
her half brother?
It's 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's like a little bit. It makes more sense, like considering that he could just.
Yeah, I believe in the beginning. She states him as her brother, and then later when she's like hearing his voice, it's stated a couple of times that he's her half brother.
Yeah, that's how she knows about her
But
parents.
yeah, I have a feeling if it's not what Dark has said, because that actually is a pretty cool idea that I could see happening.
I mean, we do learn later that their
he's a-
father is an Obligator, or at least
Yeah,
her
that's why I
father.
was-
I don't know if they share a dad. Like, I don't know which side half is on, but
and that her mother was a whore.
yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't know why I had thought, but they call myth race. I was like, maybe he actually became a myth, whatever that is. Because we haven't figured out what that is yet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you for theories about that later.
Intercept.
The one time they come up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I have so many theories that I'll talk about that.
Maybe it's like the
But
poet.
I had a feeling maybe he had changed that. Yeah, maybe. But I had a lot of theories on that until I think that theory kind of changed more later when, like I said, she states half brother, and I was like, but what part of it is half?
Yeah, I
Half
was thinking
mother's
about that
side
too.
or father's side?
Yeah.
Because if he's the father's side, it would make sense that he has power. If he's on the mother's side with somebody who doesn't have power, it would make
Yeah,
sense
that's
he
the
doesn't
thing.
have
Is
power.
it depends who his dad. If his dad's the same dad, he's way more likely to also
Pretty
be a
much.
Mistborn or a Misting. But if it's her mom's side, like, we would have no idea who the dad is and whether he would have any sort of power or not.
Also,
Yeah,
let's think about the fact that he did call their mother, or at least her mother, a whore or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's technically what she was. Like, she worked at a whorehouse,
Yeah,
I think,
that-
and like,
Yeah, but
and apparently unwillingly. Like, she didn't really have a choice. She was stuck in the underworld, and that's apparently where most women go.
I know, but
But why would you say that about your own mother? You would say that-
no, it's more of the
Oh,
fact that
okay.
he I'd probably do it. It's more of the fact that like she works there and she got a child with like what's that category?
Oh,
Or whatever.
Oh, high.
Obligator
I think
or
he's a
whatever.
Yeah.
high pre-lan
So-
obligator, or something like that. High-ranking obligator.
What stops someone with more power from also falling in that category? and like he's just more powerful.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Because like that's like if she can pull someone like that, then obviously there's like attractiveness there. So
Oh, I
like,
see. So you think like his dad, even if they share a mom, his dad could also be pretty high rank.
yeah, and it could also just be more powerful.
Well, as far as we know, there's
So-
nothing more powerful than a Mistborn.
Yeah. Well, see, that's so.
I-
Okay, that's.
I don't
that's
mean
not my
like
theory on best rates, but like, I get it. Actually, I understand. Right? That's like that would make a lot of sense, but I don't feel in the story so far there's enough sustenance to
Yeah, that's
back
true.
the fact that like having somebody like, let's say you have like, you know, somebody who has immense power, they have a child, and that the child is then given that same immense power, or if it's, you could have somebody who has like pretty much no power, like be a
Is it-
what was missing, and then
What-
they give birth
what
to a
made me-
Mistborn. So
yeah. What made me think about this though is because I'm pretty sure it's discussed that like genetics have to do something with like
Yes,
how the
it's
powers
it's
pass
it's all
down.
about genetics,
Yep.
which we'll get into that
it
later.
is. Yep.
We're gonna get very ahead of ourselves.
Yep.
So
I mean, I told you it was gonna happen, Midnight. I really did.
yeah. Anyway, so Kamen lets her go, and Vin stands near a plant while Kamen does as she had suggested and tells the fake servants to dress less fancy and get more servants. The obligator Freeland Laird comes into the room. He's bald with dark gray robes and ministry tattoos around his eyes that specify him as a Freeland. Prelands are a senior bureaucrat in the ministry's canton of finance. A set of lesser obligators follow him with simpler eye tattoos. And actually, one of those pictures I sent you of Steel Inquisitor, the last one, you can kind of see the eye tattoos, which the Steel Inquisitors also have. So Kamen rises when Laird enters, and Laird barely acknowledges him before sitting down, a servant bringing him fruit and wine. Finn watches, and Kamen and Laird speak, happy that Kamen is staying subservient, as even though Kamen treats her badly, he needs her as he considers her his good luck charm. Laird then mentions that the canton has already decided to reject Kamen's proposal. However, both Vin and Kamen realize Laird wouldn't be here if that was the end of it. Did you have any thoughts on Prelan Laird?
Like, okay, here's where I started just like losing it a little, right? New people, it's a little hard, but that's the dude where or the person who they were gonna make the deal with, right?
So he's kind of like a representative of there's some honking outside Darkness's place. So he's basically a representative of the Ministry of Finance. So he's basically, they're trying to get the Ministry of Finance as a whole to like basically fund like their project.
Right.
Yeah, he's the
He's
guy
just a
that came to him
representative.
and said, basically, yeah, but it was when he came, he makes a comment like, he's telling them no, but then you wouldn't have come if it was an actual no, if you had to
Yeah.
negotiate.
Yeah.
So like the apparently there's like a, which is mentioned later as well, but he mentions that there's like a board. So like the ministry's like board at the Ministry of Finance has kind of said like, oh, we don't really want the proposal, but obviously he would be there if they were like completely against it. So they're like, oh, obviously there's a way to kind of convince him. Yeah, so Kamen does his best to convince Laird that a house that is desperate and needs the canton's contract to survive is more loyal than a house that has multiple contracts to focus on. Laird seems to consider it, but is still hesitant, and this is when Finn uses her luck. She isn't sure how or why she can use it, but she has years of practice. She dampens Laird's emotions. However, he still seems uncertain, so she pushes harder and harder until all of her luck is used up. Then Laird agrees. So what were your first impressions of Finn's luck?
At first I thought it was like, oh my god, something new, because we literally didn't know like what like this magic could do. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is like something different. I don't know if like metals can fuck with emotions like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, maybe she's like some sort of weirdo, right? Like the alchemist, right? And like maybe she's a special one, you know? But no, that got derailed real fast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was on the same ballpark as Darkness when originally came up, I was like, she's gonna be like in the last book, the guy who dances and does stuff or whatever, who's just something different.
Yeah.
But like later it says, then later you get it's not really that way. So
yeah, we find out later that she doesn't
like, I think
know
that's what I originally thought.
what she
Because she's
is.
calling it luck.
Yeah.
Calamancy, yeah. But like yeah. But it just it was just a new power to me. I don't feel like there was anything to it.
Every time she would call it luck, I would get
remember any
flashbacks. I would get flashbacks to, like D&D campaigns and shit like that. Because that's what all it would remind me of.
Just rolling dice. Did I make it?
Yeah.
Did I make the persuasion check?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much. Yeah.
She's just constantly
Honestly,
doing persuasion
feels
checks.
100%.
Just charisma. She's got a really high charisma, but sometimes she rolls bad.
I feel like she just has advantage, but she just happened to roll 2 ones, you know.
So then we get chapter 2. So the epigraph for chapter 2 is, if men read these words, let them know that power is a heavy burden. Seek not to be bound by its chains. The terrorist prophecies say that I will have the power to save the world. They hint, however, that I will have the power to destroy it as well. So what do you think this means for the book about power being a heavy burden?
Can I please have your book? I want to be able to read these. What?
Are they not?
you
Do you not get them in the audiobook?
What?
No.
What
No.
the fuck? You need to get an e-copy or something, dude. You need to get.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah, you.
a lot of the time we get stuff that you don't, and it's like really like what?
Do you have it, Darkness?
It's the fucking little paragraph thing, right?
Yeah, the little italicized paragraph
Yeah.
at the start.
Yeah, I have it.
It's just not.
I have it in every fucking beginning chapter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though.
This is the final one. Alright.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of skipped that one.
Don't skip them.
You keep going. I don't know if Darkness can answer the question while I'm looking.
Yeah. So what do you think
Just
means about the book about power being a heavy burden?
It depends, cause it can be like not literally, but like it can be like, you know how that fucking metal spike head, whatever it is.
The Steel Inquisitor?
There you go. So like the more power they get on their side is like the more body modifications they have to do. And also like if it's like a Mistborn type of power, then like that's more like more responsibility, you know? Because if like you're gonna step up, like how they're forcing, well, essentially not forcing, like it's like one of the only options she has right now, Vin
Yeah.
to join and stuff. So.
So we then start with Calcier's point of view, and he looks over.
Wait.
What
I wanted to answer.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm
You
sorry.
said to move on. I thought you
Yeah.
just said to move on. Sorry.
No,
You
to move to Darkness. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was looking for the book themselves.
Sorry.
But
Wow.
can you state the quote again? Because
Yes, I can reread it. It's a short one anyways. If men read these words, let them know that power is a heavy burden. Seek not to be bound by its chains. The terrorist prophecies say that I will have the power to save the world. They hint, however, that I will have the power to destroy it as well.
Okay, so I'm trying to go by, like I said, I don't get to read any of them, or hear all of them. But going by what you said the first time and then this time, I feel like it's notes to a specific person, but like not like by name, but by title. So like, kind of feels like it's gonna be towards Ren, because she's the main character.
Vin,
But-
you mean?
Is it Vin? I thought it was Ren.
No, it's Vin. V-I-N.
Yeah,
Like
so-
trash.
so-
Trash.
like no, Vin, V-I-N. Okay. I feel like it's gonna be to Vin, in some ways, but like I feel like it's to somebody who is basically all powerful, like has the ability to use all the metal, which we find out later, but like about all of the different types of metals. But I feel like it's going to be that person that they're actually maybe stating things to, and like it's a warning. It goes into my theory on what mist wraiths are, but it's a warning on like using too much power, and it possibly becoming, burden. Like you have to be careful, kind of idea. But I feel like it's also trying to tell you to just kind of break the chains, just fucking be as powerful as you can be. But like because it comes with the responsibilities, like the Spider-Man quote of with great power comes great responsibility. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah. So then we start with Kelsier. As he looks over Luthadel, he notes that most of the buildings are 3-story stone structures with tile roofs for wealthier people and simple wooden roofs for others. There are also some grand keeps for the great houses with clearings around them. Kelsier also notes that everything is stained at least slightly black from the ash. Kelsier can see Ska workers clearing ash from the streets to be put in the river Shanarel to wash the ash away. He notes other Ska workers heading off to work, as Luthadel is the main export of metals, thus having many forges and refineries. The river also provided a good place for mills to grind grain and textiles. Kelsier then looks at Critic Shaw, the Hill of 1,000 Spires. That is the Lord Ruler's palace. He notes that it has been 3 years since he was captured, and thus it was unlikely anyone would recognize him, although he wears a hood anyways. So what were your first thoughts on the description of Luthadel?
Well, I obviously struggled to picture it.
Yeah, that's why I sent you some pictures. Yeah. Mistborn it's compared to Warbreaker and Elantris, it's much less Earth-like. So, because of all the ash and everything.
I don't know. For some reason, with all that ash just like falling on them, I figured the volcanoes were near them.
Yeah, I
like,
agree.
Like I felt like it was just big ones, just like they were at the base.
Yeah, no, I think if you look at the maps that are provided, they're like kind of spread out this like the country / continent. I'm not 100% sure how big it's supposed to be. I don't remember. But they're like named and like shown on the map of the final empire.
Huh. What if? Okay, you know what? I'll save that for later because we still got to discuss what's coming.
I mean, like I said, I definitely didn't picture what you sent in the thing when I was originally thinking about it, but I could definitely see it from the way that it's described, how these pictures look, I guess. But like,
it's very like Gothic style architecture.
Yeah. I was saying, I definitely pictured mostly like a Gothic, dark, like almost as if like the sun never showed in the sky, kind of idea. Like you never actually saw the sun. It's just bleak and dark, and like ash is falling on them.
I felt like the ash would be a lot more. Like, there would be a lot more, like rain. For some reason, like that's how I was picturing it, and then also the mist would be like a lot more prominent.
So I think the pictures I sent you were mainly of it during the day. So that's why like you don't see the mist. I couldn't find a great picture of it at night, because the mist only come out at night. We learned that from the prologue.
But I mean, like think about it like kind of like that first picture that she sent. Think about it like that, but like the mist probably takes up most of this, where you could probably only see of these buildings. Maybe that's how I picture it. Like it just rolls in. Yeah, it just rolls in. Like your whole city would be impossible to see. Kind of idea. That's how I at least picture when they keep talking about this mist that they have to walk through.
Here, I've looked at Luthadel at night, and I've got a picture. I think it's okay if my computer will stop acting up, so I can send this picture. Hello. Can I please copy this image?
Hi.
Thank you. The computer's being slow.
Oh, that's better.
So that's it at night. Luthadel at night.
I wonder who's that reading other rooftops.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Wait, maybe. Remember when I was saying that they did like a? It seemed as if the chapter ended and then they did a recap. I think that's what these are. For me, for the audiobook, yeah, because I remember this one. For the audiobook, it like seems to continue on in the actual chapter. Like so, like when chapter 2 ends, the third little whatever you call them, comes up. Like it then does it, but it's still in my chapter 2.
Oh, weird.
And it just seemed as if like they were pretty much recapping what was happening in the next chapter every time.
Oh, okay.
And it was
So
like,
that
I don't
it's just
understand
not
how
very
they could be
clear.
writing this.
In the audiobook.
Yeah, they're not. It's not like, oh, this is. Yeah, it's not like this specific thing. It's just.
I feel like they should do like a
specific. The book just never...
Feels like they should use like a specific voice or something for it to make it really clear.
I mean, the guy's voice is very dark and gothic to me. I mean, he does change his voice a little bit too. He tries to do accents, which is pretty cool. Like the guy who comes in with Kieran, the 4th chapter. I think it's 4th chapter. Be 3rd, but that walks in with him, he makes him sound very like Scottish almost.
Scottish, interesting.
Like a sound, yeah, like it's like a play on the Scottish accent.
That's
It's
interesting
really
because this is all based on like
it's-
French. It's supposed to be very French, like Kelsier and stuff like that, and like other characters like they have very French names. Anyways.
But yeah, that's how it's working.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah, you also have to I guess keep an eye out
I
for it.
definitely
And, like,
expected more mist for sure.
Yeah, so, a figure then approaches the wall, whom Kelsier recognizes as Dachshund. He, like Kelsier, wears clothing that looks aristocratic enough to be middle class. Kelsier notes that the nobility isn't about money, but ancestry, as the Lord Ruler is immortal and apparently remembers who supported him during the early years of his reign. Kelsier also notes that neither he nor Dachshund are of noble blood, although Kelsier is half-blood, which can be considered worse than Ska. So what do you think about this way of assigning people as noblemen compared to how it was in Elantris? Where Elantris it was very, very money-based, and this one it's like, nah, you can be pretty much poor and still be considered a noble and have like advantages because of your ancestors.
I mean, that's just the pure-blooded concept, in my opinion. If
Yeah.
I'm watching this anime right now. I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's a misfit thing or whatever. Like, the Demon King died, then all the people who come back, like all the generations after the 2,000 years or whatever, they're separating themselves between what are known as purebloods and then the I don't know what the other one's called, but basically like they were born from specific demons or whatever that are descended directly from the main person, and that's kind of how it feels with this one. That like the people that are here that have the power are really just the purebloods. They're we have power pretty much. I mean, which honestly makes sense because the only way these people, Mistings and Mistborns, are created is the people who have power and then people who don't, kind of idea on that.
Yeah, but like your like ruler still remembers your ancestors. He's like, oh yes, your ancestor Jim.
Yeah.
He was great. He really liked me.
God, I feel like that would be so. Later you get told something about him, and I was just like, this man seems so cool, and I want to know his whole backstory.
The Lord Ruler.
Yeah, he seems so interesting.
I'm wondering if he takes lovers. Asking for a friend.
Anyway, so Doxa notes that
I don't
Kelsier.
think you're his type. I don't think you're his type, Darkness.
You don't know that. You know nothing about the Lord
Yeah.
Ruler.
Maybe he doesn't like Pretty Scott. Maybe he likes me. No, I'm joking.
Maybe you are a pretty Scott, Darkness.
If only.
I feel bad for Darkness to say this, but I don't
Wow.
think any of us are pretty Scott.
I don't think I'd want to be a Scott, thanks.
Well, unfortunately, you are.
Wow. Anyway, so Doxa knows that Kelsier, who he calls Kel, is a few days late, and that Kelsier did have something to do with Lord Trusting's death. Kelsier mentions that the death was almost an accident, and that his death wasn't much of a loss, as Trusting had a reputation for cruelty. Doc says he can't believe he's letting Kelsier get him into another job, which is apparently attacking a provincial lord in his manor house. He also says it's good to have Kelsier back, and asks how Kelsier got in, as he had men watching the gates. Kelsier says he snuck in, and Doxson says that they will still take some getting used to, before mentioning that Breeze and Ham will be at the meeting. So first of all, there's two things here. One is, we know that this attacking a provincial lord in his manor house is not the main job. So what do you think this other job is?
Okay, so I apparently just lost connection for a bit there until you just asked that question.
Oh, sorry.
What you said when it,
Yeah, so we were talking about how basically Doxson and Kelsier are meeting, and Dox mentions a job that is them attacking a provincial lord in his manor house. And so we know from chapter 4 that this is not obviously the job they talk about with everyone else.
Okay.
No.
No, it's like the
Hey.
whole main thing.
He's a lord. He's a lord. I mean,
So the-
it's just
the-
kind of
the
a
provincial
watered-down
lords-
version of it.
Well, no, the provincial lords are like Trusting, who aren't in the city. They like own like land out there that they farm, like Lord Trusting.
Are you telling me that this man isn't in the Sun City? Are you telling me that the High Ruler, right?
The Lord
isn't-
Ruler
no,
is
no,
the
no, no.
Lord Ruler. I'm saying that this other job that Doxson's mentioning here is not the plan to take out the Lord Ruler from chapter 4.
Yeah.
There's obviously there's apparently this
Oh,
secondary
okay.
job that he's talking about with Doxson.
I feel like it's just domino effect, but sure.
I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about it. Darkness, do you have any thoughts about this other job?
Well, I didn't really care about the first job. You know, like the first one that was discussed. But you did mention, you did ask, what did you think? What was it? The other job was, or something like that?
Yeah, this job. I was saying, what do you think like this provincial manor house job is? Like, do you think it's related? Do you think it's like why do you think? What do you think this job is about?
Yeah, I don't even think I thought that much into it. I thought it was just like, you know, stealing shit.
All right.
But now that you're asking, you know.
Now, of course, that's how it always works.
All right. Anyway, so my other question was, how do you think Kelsier got into the city without being seen?
The mist at night.
Or kind of going on that whole. I don't want to say it because we haven't gotten to where it again says misraid, but I feel like he's just a misraid, and it's a misconcept of like what actually that is. Like people have been assuming that misraids are some evil entity or something like that, but really it's
They
just like a certain metal that you eat, and then you can become mist, basically. Like, you know, there might be these bad things, but I don't think they're what are known. Like, I don't know. I feel like there could be two versions of a misraid. One of them being that somebody who has basically tried to use too much power that they cannot, but like their body cannot possess, and then it overwhelms them and they become mist. And then also that like you can still tap into that same idea by trying to almost mimic using too much power, and like can keep your sanity and like be able to, you know, become mist, glide into a specific spot, and then not be mist anymore. Kind of
You know
idea,
what?
like you could tap into being a Mistbreaker.
I need you to remind me about that. Maybe their body couldn't handle it, and they became mist idea. Remind me this. Like when they're all gathered there. 'Cause
Chapter 4.
I just thought of something, and
Yes.
it's like
That's what I'm waiting on too.
I'm
That's what
sorry!
waiting on. I have a
Yeah. Anyways,
I have a bunch load of
I'm
theories
sure.
on.
I'm sure. All right, we'll keep going. So Kelsier asks about Trap, whom Dachshund says is dead. Kelsier then mentions that life is hard for a ska misting. Kelsier recommends clubs for their smoker, and Dachshund mentions inviting Club's relative, who is a Tinai as well. They also mention Yedin, who is apparently going to be paying them. And then Marsh is mentioned, Kelsier's brother, who Kelsier insists will come and infiltrate the Obligators. So we've got the words smoker and Tinai here. I can kind of help you put together Tinai a little bit. So, because based on information we have, we know from chapter 4, is it chapter 4 or chapter 3, that tin is one of the metals you can burn. We also know from this from the prologue. And we know from the prologue, when Kelsier burns tin, that his senses are sharpened. So that is what a Tinai is. But what do you think a smoker is?
I mean, if you can see the map, then the map that comes with the book, you know all the metals and stuff.
Really? Damn, another thing I'm missing out on.
You really need to get like at least an e-reader or a physical copy of these books,
I'm
Smith.
gonna go buy one. Let's see if I can find it.
Does it tell you?
Actually, the ebook right now was like $1. So
Yeah, but where did you buy it? I
Amazon.
don't want to buy it on the wrong site.
I bought it on Amazon.
Oh, you bought it on Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Because of all the gates in Luthadel, they have all the each
Yeah,
gate is
that's
named
what I was-
after a
That's what I was
metal.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, the map of Luthadel has all the different gates. As I said, we also learn anything in chapter 3.
Well, if both of you now know.
Well, as I said, they're
I guess
mentioned.
we
They're
can let
mentioned
everybody
later.
else know, right?
They're mentioned later what all the metals are. The metals are, it is iron, steel,
Okay, wait.
tin, pewter.
Yeah, go ahead, go.
Iron, steel, tin, pewter, zinc, brass, copper, bronze. Those are the 8 basic metals.
Okay. So
we do get those
once
later.
again, later, they also know that there's not just 8.
Yes, those are the 8 basic metals.
Yeah.
That's
When they
why-
said
okay. So all right. So this gate that you're talking about, or whatever that you see in this book, it only shows you those 8, correct?
Yeah, so basically, so Luthadel, so this is Luthadel,
Okay.
this map. It's a map of Luthadel, and it has 8 different exits. Each gate leading out of the walled city of Luthadel is named after
Just
one of the
named
8
a
basic
different
metals.
Which is, I was like, oh, I can send a picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to just send the picture, or I can look it up?
I'm gonna get to the book eventually.
Yeah, I think you just need to get the ebooks, Mythic.
I mean, I'm still gonna listen to it. But...
Yeah, I'm just saying though, for like all these like, like the maps and everything, I think it's good to just have these.
I was thinking like, okay, what if like the other metals are hidden like somewhere in the city or something like that?
Oh, you think there's like something named after them as well somewhere?
Yeah, and people just don't get it.
It's a big ass city.
It is a very big city.
You know,
But
now that I read some of these, it reminds me of one of the cities I made 1950 thing, where they're all about stone, like certain stone. Like I named every like district and gate and all of that as like a different stone, granite, all that stuff. I was like,
you know,
and I hadn't even read this book.
I recently found out that Larmar is actually a fucking stone, like a fucking, you know,
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
girl. And it did not like cross my mind.
Alright. So yeah, so was it Mythic who said he thinks a smoker is someone who burns the mist? Is that your suggestion of what a smoker was?
I don't know about burn. I just said like makes mist. Like,
Oh, makes mist. Sorry, I misheard you.
creates like a smoke pretty much for a mist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Idea.
Um.
I don't know what metal that would be, but I could definitely take guesses.
I I mean, yeah, I'm gonna actually at the end of the overview, I'm gonna go over like what metals we definitely know for sure,
Oh.
what things they do, and then what your guesses are for each metal at the end.
Okay. Quick
You know
question.
what? Hers does. Go ahead.
Oh,
Okay.
is there like a fucking like a guide to what each metal's powers are at the end?
There will be, but I'd recommend not going into the Ars Arcanum until after we kind of have like.
I'm just asking because like
Yes, there is an
I'm
Ars
thinking that-
Arcanum for this book,
Okay, wait.
which has some minor spoilers. Because
Kind
Yeah,
of,
which is why I
right,
was.
but also a kind of another question is in the Ars Arcana, right? It's gonna give you the other. Well, we obviously are gonna get the other metals that are also kind of mentioned, right? Like in general in the book.
Except for
And
the
those
11th
would
metal.
You
I don't
you
know. I
will.
feel like we're gonna get that too, because we kind of already got a hint on what it could be. So. I mean, I've been working it out the last couple hours, right, on like what metals weren't already in the book that could be in the book. So, and one of them is in the book or is in these 4 chapters, but hasn't been mentioned as a metal.
So I think the Ars Arcanum actually I think only shows the basic 8. It looks like, at least in my book. I don't know if there's an update Ars Arcanum.
I
That shows
can't
the
even
ones.
check because if I
Yeah,
check
don't-
them, I guess it will.
Yeah, as I said, it I don't want to like reveal what each one does because we kind of get it as Vin learns them.
I was
But
thinking, which by the way means she probably will end up taking the fucking 11th medal herself. I was thinking like
I mean,
It was
do you really not think that was gonna happen, Darkness?
that's true. So like I was
She's the
thinking
main
it was,
character.
it was gonna be like a description of the what is it 10th heightening or something like that, where like it's like, oh, it does this and it can possibly do more, you know.
yeah, no, it is. It looks like, at least in my version of the book, it only shows the basic 8, which I'm surprised by because we do learn the two other
What it
ones
is.
in this book,
Yeah.
and I think we also do learn what the 11th one does in this book. I can't remember, so I'm surprised they're not in there.
Try flipping the page.
I did. I flipped all the way to the back. But anyways, so let's keep going because we keep getting ahead of ourselves because there's so much that happens in the last chapter.
Yeah.
So Doxson then says, before the meeting, he wants to show Kelsier something, instead of Kelsier going to chastise his prude of a brother, as Kelsier says. So we switch to Vin as she hides in the shadows of the safe house to not be noticed, as she doesn't have the luck to expend to keep the men's hands off of her. She notes that 6 months ago she wouldn't have thought life would be worse without her brother Reen's abusive anger, but he had been able to keep the men away from her. So what are your thoughts on Reen, as he seems to have been both protected and abused Vin?
It did it again.
Did it cut out again? Did you hear my thing?
Just say it again.
I'm guessing you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you.
No, before, like, you couldn't hear me say, oh, it happened again.
Yeah, we
No, I
did.
did hear you say, "Oh, it happened," and that's why I was like, "Oh, are you
Oh.
there?"
Oh,
And that's why I was
okay.
like, say it
So
again. So
maybe you can hear.
We seem to be able to hear you. You just can't hear us for some reason. Sometimes.
Apparently. I mean, you cut out mid-sentence, so I know it happens.
Yeah, but Darkness heard me, so.
I did?
Yeah.
Did you not?
yeah, I did.
Anyways, so Mythic, what I had said was that, basically, Vin notes that her brother had been keeping the men away from her, even though he had been abusive to her, and I was just asking what your thoughts on Reen are based on Vin's thoughts based on like what Vin's told us about him.
Seems like a great guy.
Yeah, best character so far.
Best father figure ever.
No, because there's a father involved somewhere here, and I'm just like,
Of course.
Or car alarms.
Darkness.
they steal cars all the time. It's fine.
Okay. It's fine, sure.
God.
So anyways, so Vin notes that Kamen had whipped her a few days before, but that her brother's beatings had left her resilient. Although she notes that her shirt's gonna get stained with blood, and she doesn't have the money to afford a new one. Because I think Cameron keeps taking all her money to pay off Reen's debts. So Cameron then stands up and tells Vin it's time, but Vin doesn't know what it's time for. And they end up at the Ministry's Canton of Finance, which is apparently one of the less intimidating cantons in the Steel Ministry, especially compared to the Canton of Inquisition and the Canton of Orthodoxy. So Vin and Cameron go into the building along with 5 other crew members.
Mythic.
Oh shit, Mythic's dropped out. Uh-oh.
How could you continue without noticing?
Because I'm streaming and it doesn't tell me.
Wow. Oh, you're right. Wow. Quick spoilers before they come back. Oh.
Am I back?
You're back.
Yes.
Oh god. Okay. Sorry, like it disconnected me as soon as I answered the question. I could no longer hear anybody talking.
Oh no.
Oh, that was far back.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Well, recap.
Okay, so we'll go back then. Mythic, so what were your thoughts on Reen?
Oh, yeah, that's the question I was talking about.
Yeah, I assumed so.
Did you like her, mate? Okay, so I said I like the guy, but also, but I mean, he seems like a great stand-up person, best father figure ever. But then Darkness said something about not a father figure. That there's another father.
Yeah. Oh, it's after the question.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the
yeah.
last thing I heard in that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to the point where they are heading to the Ministry of, or to the Canton of Finance, which is less intimidating than the Canton of Inquisition and the Canton of Orthodoxy. So Vin and Cameron go into the building along with 5 other crew members. Cameron approaches an obligator at a desk with mid-level eye tattoos, who says he can only bring 1 servant, which Cameron chooses Vin. The 2 of them go into a... Yeah, there's I mean, she's his lucky charm. So the 2 of them go into a lavish room where several noblemen wait. Vin gets Cameron some wine and food and notes that he seems nervous. Cameron notes that he's betraying Theron, planning to ask for a down payment and then run off with it. Vin notes that anyone will betray anyone. They get called and are surprised to see a high-ranking obligator instead of the obligator they had met with previously. So what do you think about Cameron's plan to scam Theron instead of doing the long scam? Because their long scam was to like slowly like embezzle stuff through like these canal ships, and instead he's like, I'll take a down payment and then just run off and leave Theron to deal with the repercussions.
I mean, obviously we know that he's a fucking great person, you know?
I mean, we know
So
Theron's such a great person too.
All great people, man.
I'm just saying, like, a little bit of therapy, a little bit of queerness, and we'll have these problems solved.
Oh gosh. What did you think, Mythic, about Cameron betraying Theron?
That seemed like his person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't surprise.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I mean, I had the thought too. I was like, man, this would be so easy just to get away with it.
I got slightly annoyed though, because it just like it cemented the thought of like, oh, like I can still be betrayed by anyone on Vin.
Yeah, she doesn't trust anyone. It seems like everything that happens basically with this crew is like, oh yeah, I'll be betrayed. Oh yeah, this person's gonna betray this person, or this person's gonna betray me. It's not great. But anyway, so the Obligator introduces himself as High Prelan Ariev and says Cameron has the rare opportunity to address him directly since Prelan Laird is away on business. Ariev states that the board is split on whether to go forward with Cameron's offer and to restate his position and convince Ariev himself. So Cameron goes into his speech about why they need the contract, and Vin reluctantly uses her luck, feeling like the situation is wrong. Ariev agrees to the proposition and the advance, and although Vin still feels like something is very wrong, they leave easily and even get the money from the Obligator receptionist. What do you think about the High Prelan being there? Do you think Laird was actually away on business, or based on what we find out, do you think they kind of had like figured things out and that's why?
I mean, fuck. I did think it was suspicious, and like obviously my like suspicions were proven correct a little bit later, but I didn't. I don't know. I thought it was gonna be like I thought they were gonna have like a lucky break because of luck, you know.
Yeah.
Like I figured even if things go wrong, she has the power to stop it, but you know, it doesn't always turn out that way.
So we then switch back to Kelsier. He and Doxson are in the waiting room at the Canton of Finance. Kelsier's eating one of the little cakes in the waiting room. Doxson asks what Kelsier thinks of Vin, and they pass Cameron and the receptionist on their way out. And Doxson explains that Kelsier's brother found out about Vin after Cameron had tried to swindle him. Dox isn't sure if Cameron knows what Vin is or not. So do you think Cameron knows that Vin is an Allomancer of some sort, or do you think she's literally just his lucky charm?
I feel like it would be stupid not to know, but like, why? Like this whole thing frustrates me. Like,
I mean, I don't think Cameron. You're asking if Cameron knows, right?
Yeah.
Who keeps beating her? I don't think he knows, but mainly in my opinion, because if he knew she was an Allomancer and knew what Allomancers were, like, you know, enough, like he wouldn't be striking her. Mainly because, like, if I knew what an Allomancer was in this time, I'd probably be a little more afraid of him if I wasn't an Allomancer myself. Like, I feel like it wouldn't be the same relationship they have. Unless he somehow does know, but knows that she's not able to use enough power to really be a threat. Like, you know, I feel like he's that way of elements. But it's also based on the fact that, like, it doesn't seem like many people tend to know that they're Allomancers, like, immediately, unless they're Allomancers themselves. And even some of those Allomancers later don't know very well. It seems like they're not very in the know on certain things. So
here's my top.
But I definitely thought the dude they're talking to was gonna say something about it.
Right. Here's my thought process on this, right? So, if he doesn't know, right, he should have been able to figure it out, like, why, like, stuff is happening regardless. Like, she's obviously making stuff happen. If there's, like, why are you gonna, like, just, why are you just gonna focus solely on, like, oh, maybe it is luck, you know?
Yeah, I think at one point Kelsier says if he doesn't know, like, a lot of, like, people in thieving crews tend to be superstitious.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking too. Like, it's so dumb to rely just on, like, superstitious, like, outlooks like that. And if he does know, then, like, why the fuck are you not treating her better? Like, she's literally the source.
Well, that's why he doesn't sell her to the whorehouse. Why he doesn't kill her.
That's what.
No.
That's what Vin says later. She's like, he won't kill me.
He won't kill me. No, you're right. He won't. Purposely, maybe he won't kill you. But this man's gonna beat the shit out of you. Eventually, that could cause some severe damage.
He won't kill me. He loses both fucking legs.
I know, right?
You just keep her foot like a lucky rabbit's
Carries
foot.
her like a backpack.
I was gonna
Lucky
say that.
rabbit's foot.
That's what made midnight dark.
Anyway, so they watch as Cameron and his crew, including Vin, leave the Canton. Kelsier notes Vin's anxious energy and bruises and says she'll be free of Cameron soon enough. Kelsier notes that Vin is definitely at least a misting, and he's surprised she would use allomancy on an obligator. He says that she might not know she's using it, and there are trace metals in the water that she could be using. The amount of metal in the area is...
I feel like I missed it.
Yeah, so we find...
There was definitely something I was going to say before this.
Oh, sir?
because I feel like we skipped something. Maybe I missed it with all of the internet problems I'm having. But I definitely was gonna state the fact that when she used luck on that person, I was immediately like, nah, don't do that, don't do that. Like, you are about to go down a road you don't want to go down. And then this dude just goes, yeah, I'm okay. I'll do this with you. You know, just all of a sudden, I was like, girl, feel your gut. Just go with your gut, please.
Yeah.
Like, you know this is wrong. And then they're walking out, and I'm like, it stated that whole thing, like those other people that are in that room, and I was like, one of them people is gonna kill you. One of them people is gonna follow you and murder you in the streets. Like,
Well, it sounds like that was the plan.
well, yeah, but like, they were gonna go wait till. I didn't think they were gonna wait till the whole let's go to watch them and wait till they get to the hideout thing. I thought literally they were gonna go in a back alley, just like they're going to their hideout, and they're gonna go in a back alley, and these people are just gonna murk them right there. Oh, this is definitely also the part where I started liking, what was his name? Kelsier? Whatever. Yeah, Cal. That's it. Cal.
Kelsier, yeah.
This is where I started liking him a lot more.
I thought you liked him in the prologue.
I did, but I'm saying a lot more. Like, this is where he was like, oh, he's a man.
So apparently the amount of metal in the area is apparently one of the reasons the Lord Ruler built his city here. What's that? So Kelsier and Doxon then see the Obligator from before come out of the canton along with a second man. The second man is described as having a thick metal spike pounded through each eye that were long enough to jut out the back of his skull, and he also has a bald head. And he's called a Steel Inquisitor. So, what did you think about the Steel Inquisitor?
Okay, sorry, I'm back. I mean, I still was listening, but I'm back. I like the Steel Inquisitors. They're probably one of my favorite so far of the bad people. That's seem really cool.
I'm just curious to how they're thinking of the whole power aspect.
Yeah, we don't know much about them yet.
But they're called Steel Inquisitors, so it makes me believe that they're probably like Mystics that only use the steel power, whatever that steel power is.
Do we know what steel does?
We do not know what steel does.
Not yet, no. But I have theories.
Yeah, as I said, we'll go over that in the overview, the theories for each metal that we don't know.
I'm also thinking, like, if steel is like inside your metal is inside your body, no matter where, does it still count as usable?
We don't know. We just know that Kelsier swallows his metal, and he tells Vin to swallow metal.
And also, is it reusable? Because if that spike is if they are able to use those spikes, and they have to change spikes every time they use it.
You see a Steel Inquisitor with his spikes slowly degrading, and it's like, oh, he's got to change that out soon.
Yeah.
So on that topic, real quick, the only reason I would think that it wouldn't matter as much if they can use the spikes that are in their face, it wouldn't deteriorate. It's because the fact that he gives her such a very small amount in an alcoholic thing later that it's like sediment almost, and so a bigger object, I feel like it would take way too long for it to all go away if that much power comes from small traces.
Yeah, it's really like metal flakes, they say, so it's like shavings of metal they have mixed into an alcoholic solution. And it's obviously not filled to the brim with metal either, because as we're gonna get into later, Vin has Kelsier shake it up so the metal's everywhere. So, but yeah.
I like that. She's very smart.
So Kelsier notes that Kamen is likely being tailed by two people as the Steel Inquisitor slowly goes after them. He also notes that even if Kamen's group isn't the best, they fight the Final Empire in their own way, and he also doesn't want to let a possible Mistborn die. Doxson then says he can take the 2 tails, and Kelsier pulls out a vial of alcohol solution with metal flakes in it and drinks it. The metal flakes are the basic 8 elementic metals: iron, steel, tin, pewter, copper, bronze, zinc, and brass. Kelsier says he'll distract the Inquisitor. Kelsier burns his metals and then specifically burns zinc, yanking firmly on the Inquisitor's emotions and causing the Inquisitor to spin around to look at him. Kelsier then thinks they should have a chase. So what do you think about Kelsier having the Steel Inquisitor chase him?
I was more interested in the
Well,
scene.
I originally was like, oh, this is him dead.
Whereas interested in the zinc, how do you feel about the zinc?
I'm just like, that's like her. That was Vince's main power, right?
No. Her power is the same as Breeze's.
Yeah.
She dampens emotions. Is the one
I
she's
feel
been
like
using.
So, it is stated later that there are 2 different powers that they're using.
Yes. So this is
But
technically
she
the
has
opposite of what Breeze
one,
has.
and then
Okay, so it derives
Yeah.
from the metals.
Yes. So zinc is specifically, based on what we learned later, zinc specifically, as Breeze describes it, pulls out emotions. Whereas what Breeze and Vin's been doing is pushing emotions to dampen them, and pulling enrages emotions.
Okay, so that's the 2 fucking metals that they give her, right?
Yes, those are the 2 metals. They
Okay.
give her zinc and then whatever metal Breeze uses. We don't get told, I don't believe, the metal that Breeze uses. But one of them is zinc. No, I don't believe they ever tell us what metal that is.
Really?
I tried to look through it, I didn't see it.
That's the theory I had. Maybe it's just the theory that I had.
I may have missed it in my notes. I tried to look through and, as I said, for my overview, write down all the ones that we knew. So.
Maybe I immediately came up with a theory for it.
Maybe. But yeah, so Kelsier's using zinc here.
I mean, you'll be able to know if it may have said it when we get to that point, and I tell you what
Instantly
I think
say it, yeah.
it is. Yeah. Well, yeah, you'll know because you have all the information on what each metal does, but pretty sure. But sorry.
Were you gonna say anything there, Darkness?
I kind of forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
Should we go into chapter 3 then?
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh my god, we're on chapter.
Yeah, I know. We've been going, but we're only on chapter 3. So we arrive in. So this is another epigraph. So it says, "We arrived in Terrace earlier this week, and I have to say I find the countryside beautiful. The great mountains to the north, with their bald snowcaps and forested mantles, stand like watchful gods over this land of green fertility. My own lands to the south are mostly flat. I think that they might look less dreary if there were a few mountains to vary the terrain. People here are mostly herdsmen, though timber harvesters and farmers are not uncommon. It is a pastoral land, certainly. It seems odd that a place so remarkably agrarian could have produced the prophecies and theologies upon which the entire world now relies." So, for this specific epigraph, I wanted to ask you about think about how the land is described compared to how things seem in, how Vin and Kelsier and everyone sees the land currently, because they're talking about green forests and mountains and all this beauty, and currently we know that everything is ash covered, brown, black. So what do you think that says about these epigraphs?
That they're either before or after whatever they're looking at right now. So it's either a before time or it's an after time of all of, it got better.
Or worse.
Well, I don't know. Green stuff doesn't really sound worse. But
That's what sorry, I thought you were. Yeah, I was saying it either.
no, I'm
got
saying
worse
it's
yeah.
either I'm going on the object of this is somebody writing to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of idea, like a diary almost,
Yeah.
right? And it's either they're writing this diary before whatever might have happened to this empire,
Mm-hmm.
or after this empire, whatever happens to the empire.
Yeah.
It's either before or after.
Yeah.
But it's not the current present.
Yeah.
moment.
I have 2 thoughts on who it could be.
Mm-hmm.
The ruler.
Mm-hmm.
And it's before,
Or-
or That fucking Deadpool wannabe dude. The fucking storyteller.
Hoyd?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
You think Hoyd's writing the epigraphs?
could be.
I mean, I actually kind of like the other idea.
That the Lord Ruler
That
is
this
writing it?
like, yeah, like the Lord Ruler wrote this. Like it's a diary, like almost a diary of sorts.
So then we get into chapter 3, and Vin is watching Cameron count his money one coin at a time as the crew laughs and drinks. She thinks that something is still yeah, she's
I hate
so she thinks that something is still very wrong, and displaying that amount of money would tempt even crew members who know that keeping a crew leader around for future earnings is important. She decides she needs to leave, but leaving herself seems difficult. She decides that Ulef had been the kindest to her. He was a friend, but he was the closest. He wasn't a friend, but he was the closest she had now that Reen was gone. She goes up to him and tells him.
Terrible idea.
Yeah, she goes up to him and tells him they need to leave. His friends send them suggestive looks, and Vin clarifies that she needs to leave the lair and not leave in that way. She says she feels something bad will happen to with the obligators, and they need to be out until at least evening. She then leaves Ulaf for a moment and goes to get her personal possessions. Noting she can't take the bedroll, she does take an earring from her mother, a small stud that she doesn't wear so she doesn't look more feminine, a piece of obsidian that Reen used to carry, and a rock from every city she'd visited. What were your thoughts on Vin's few personal possessions?
Exactly. So this is where I was gonna say, this is where my theories of all the metals started coming together. Okay, mainly before they stated like that there were more. So originally they had stated that those 8 existed already, and I was like, okay, that's cool. But then she says she has a small piece of obsidian, and I was like, obsidian could be metal. Like,
I think it's technically more like glass.
It is, but it could be. It could be a metal, and maybe they don't realize it or something to that extent, and maybe that's the special one. That's what I got later. But and I was thinking, what would have happened if she swallowed this obsidian? Would she become extremely powerful? But yeah, I think the effects definitely made me feel like her brother, in some aspect, has the same elementic powers, because mainly because of the obsidian. But
I think they also do mention the obsidian's like chipped or something. It's not like a perfect piece.
Yep. And that's kind of where it was like, maybe he took and like ingested the piece of obsidian, or a piece of obsidian, and like maybe then, like I said, either he became really powerful and realized he's really powerful, so he left, or he became really powerful and it was too much for his body, and he became what is known around as a mist wraith. But that's where those theories started coming in. But then I started getting all these other theories before we even talked about her before what's his name came in. Cal came in and started talking to her about it. Kind of idea. I was like, I already started getting this idea, and this is where I'm gonna say it. But I think her power comes from Pewter. I think it's
Pewter.
That's the one I wrote down for it.
Well, Pewter actually
Yes.
we learn later.
Pewter
We learn later is strength.
Yeah.
We learned that
I
Ham
believe
is a
that's
Pewter
what
guy.
I had. Yeah, I believe that's what on this one when I said Pewter was what she was trying to use. Mainly because I originally thought it was zinc, because I was just like, how could a poor person get metal that they can then burn? And what one would be easiest? And I know a lot of things about like certain pipes. Like if you have metal pipes, sometimes it gets in the water that you drink, and sometimes you can have like tin or pewter, or not pewter, sorry, zinc in your body, kind of idea. So it was like, that would be an interesting thing. Maybe she was drinking water from an impure source, and that's how she's actually getting her powers, and she doesn't know that. So
Every time I think of someone eating metal, I just think of them like biting into like solid metal. Just like chicken nuggets.
well, I mean, it made more sense with later when he gives her the vial, or when he drank the vial. it being like shavings. And like, man, that makes sense of how you could ingest it. I mean, I was in the same boat as you when we did the prologue darkness, because I was like, oh, these people are like forges.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you still think they're forges?
Yes, just in a different sense, I guess. I mean, because they keep talking about how they just put metal in their body and then they burn it, and I'm like, these people seem like forges. Like maybe not like the fantastical thing that I was thinking of. Like you literally could see like burning inside their stomachs and stuff like that, like a forge made in their body, but like they're pretty much forges. Like they eat this and.
What if they're just lava people?
They're lava people, did you say?
Ooh, maybe they came from the volcano.
That's what I was thinking. Like, what if they just like
Yeah.
got born, got birthed?
Alright. Douglas, did you have any thoughts on Vin's personal possessions?
No, y'all had theories for that. I just wanted to, okay, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were. I mean, did they say what the type of earring was aside from it being?
They did not. I looked for that. They
material?
don't. They don't mention the type of metal.
It's obviously
the earrings are made of.
diamond, you know. We're playing Minecraft here.
So then Vin goes back to the main room. She sees Olaf whispering with Kamen. When Kamen sees her, he shouts that she's leaving to betray him. She tries to scramble away, but Kamen throws a wooden stool at her, which hits her in the back. And she...
I'm sorry right there. That shit made me laugh. I'm sorry. I get it.
Wow.
I get it. It's supposed to be like, ah, fuck, she's getting caught and shit. If you run, you run. And you like zigzag or some shit. Like, you get the fuck out of there. You don't get hit by a turn like that.
Well, I think she was reaching for the door, wasn't she, when she got hit with the stool?
Yeah.
Okay, but look back.
But even so, you take all these beatings from this person, and a stool knocks you down.
Like, I'm just like imagining. I'm just imagining. Just like he grabs the stool, chucks it across the room, just fucking hits her in the back, and she's just like on the ground, like what the fuck?
Anyway, so she falls to the ground, and she feels something inside of her that allows her to get back to her feet. Cameron then backhands Vin, which I think she says almost like it's like so hard her neck kind of cracks or something. And then Vin, he backhands Vin before pulling her by her shirt and raising his fist. Before we continue, were you surprised that Olaf betrayed Vin?
No.
Don't trust anyone.
Not at all.
Everyone will betray
Yeah,
you.
like,
That's what Breen teaches us.
I was actually more surprised that her like whatever this sense is that she continues to get wasn't going off the moment she said, "Oh, I'm gonna go tell this person."
Yeah. I don't know. Lately, like throughout all these chapters, I've been getting. Do you remember that dude that betrayed them from like the last book in the meeting and brought the like?
Oh,
guard?
Ahan?
Yeah, I've been getting feelings of like that type of characters everywhere in these chapters.
Oh, like blue fingers?
Essentially, well, I was thinking. It feels more like the dude that betrayed them in the last book.
Yeah.
During the meeting. Yeah.
So Vin tries to use all of her luck to calm Kamen's fury. For a second he calms, but his fury comes back. He says he was too easy on her and her brother. Reen's voice in her head calls her a fool for thinking she could trust anyone in the underworld. Vin thinks that Kamen needs her and will kill her, but she can see the drunken fury and thinks this time may be different. As Kamen is about to punch Vin again, the doorway to the lair bursts open. Kamen glances over and Vin struggles to get free, but she is unable to. And when she looks over, she sees a man in his 30s with blonde hair wearing a nobleman's outfit. Vin wonders how he got past the scouts.
As soon as that happened, all I was like, oh shit, they're all dead. They're all gonna die. Like, I didn't realize who it was until after, but like I was like, oh, they're all dead. He didn't succeed. The person made it. They're gonna kill everybody. And then I was like, and she's gonna be like the last to survive, and then they're gonna show up and be like, survive. Survive. I was so hoping Kamen was dead.
Also, are we not gonna talk about the fact that she did try to use her thing, like her luck on him?
Yeah, she tried to use her luck, but I think it wasn't enough. He was too angry for her to fully
Which is like insane, cause you can just break that shit if you're feeling too much emotion.
You roll the natural. Right?
Well, again, remember she's only getting her metals from like trace metals and like the water and food she's eating. Like she has like literally less than these tiny flakes that they give her later, which gives her so much power. Like, she's got nothing.
It's immense. Like, she says it is so immense, and I was like, crazy.
Yeah, like she's got like nothing.
And then you made the theory, Darkness, about the Steel Inquisitors that I had not even thought of, about the nails being in their face, and I'm like, holy shit! Imagine if that's true and that works. How much power that man has at his disposal.
So Kamen is then thrown backwards by a powerful force, and Vin tries to crawl away to a secret trapdoor exit. However, suddenly she feels an overwhelming peace. She realizes someone else has used luck on her, and also notices that he's somehow using it on the rest of the crew. As the first man comes more into the room, she sees a second man behind him. So, what do you think this powerful force was that threw Kamen backwards?
Can I say what metal I think it is?
If you want to, we'll go back to it later. I won't like.
Well, I think it's iron, but
I actually think it's brass.
I think it's brass.
brass.
Yeah.
All right. So
I definitely think it's one of the elemental powers.
I was. It's the reason I'm leaning more about brass is because like I'm thinking of the instruments.
I thought you were gonna say like brass knuckles or something.
I'm not. It's because I'm thinking like if it's like non like physical, then it could be like sort of like, you know how
Like a sound
brass-
wave or something?
yeah.
I see. Alright, so Kamen then recognizes Doc.
I said that would be cool.
So Kamen then recognizes Doxson and then sees the scars on Kelsier's hands and calls him the survivor of Hassan. Finn recognizes them from the Canton of Finance. Kelsier somehow throws Kamen back without touching him again, after Kamen says it's a rare honor to see him. He's like, I'm having none of your shit. I'm just gonna shove you backwards with my powers. Great. Kelsier then announces to the crew that they owe him a great debt as he has saved them from an obligator and a Steel Inquisitor from finding their hideout. Finn is horrified to think that a Steel Inquisitor had been on the way. Milev, Kamen's second-in-command, rushes forward and presents Kelsier with the 3,000 boxings that they had just gotten. Kelsier then tells Milev to deal with Kamen but not kill him. Milev says he'll make him a beggar, and Vin thinks that Milev will likely dispose of Kamen when he thinks Kelsier isn't looking. So for all we know, Kamen could be dead. Kelsier asks Dox...
Here's where I started losing everything. I'm telling you, because the sudden it feels like a sudden change in leadership in like 3 different places.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
And I got so fucking lost for a moment that I started trying to puzzle it for like 30 minutes and I almost fell asleep trying to do it. Yes.
Kelsier asks Doxson where they were planning on having the meeting tonight, which is apparently Clubs' place, and Kelsier says he instead wants to have the meeting here. Kelsier hands Milev 100 boxings, then says he wants to have a private conversation with Vin, including taking away the men hiding in the walls. Vin wonders how Kelsier wants to...
Which is insane that this man...
Yup. Vin wonders how Kelsier wants to use her and that he must know of her luck. Once everyone is gone, Vin eyes the door but wants to know what Kelsier knows of luck. Now that the 3 are alone, Kelsier and Doxson banter a bit. Doxson asks Vin if she wants a cloth for her face, because it's all bloody, but she doesn't respond. Kelsier and Doxson then get some alcohol, and Kelsier asks Vin if she wants any, but Vin still doesn't respond. And Vin can feel Kelsier trying to make her feel more at ease, but she resists. Doxson then asks again if she wants something to drink, and she eventually says ale. Because apparently she prefers that, and Kelsier's like, you've got bad taste, basically.
Yeah, because...
Kelsier then invites Vin to sit down at the table with him, and Vin asks who Kelsier is. He says he's sort of like a crew leader, and that his group is higher class than Kamen's. Kelsier says that there are half-breeds just like Vin, and that they work with Mistings, but neither of them are Mistings. Vin notes that Allomancy was granted to noblemen around 1,000 years ago as a reward for their loyalty. Vin, though, doesn't know much about Mistings, other than that she's heard a single one can take down a whole thieving crew. So what do you think about the fact that the Lord Ruler apparently granted people Allomancy?
that's wrong.
You don't think that's true? You think that's just a rumor?
I don't. Yeah, I think it's just.
I mean,
I think they
they're
think
kind
that.
of.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Sorry, just go ahead.
Okay.
I
I
cut you.
think they think that because I feel like the ruler is a Mistborn,
Hmm.
and I think they think that he was the one to grant it because, like, I mean, most powerful, like sort of like a what's it called? Like Cicerone.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that point. That I believe that I don't think it's. I feel like it's partially not true. I don't think he gave them the power, but I think he might have been like the first to display
Yeah.
the power, I guess.
There you go. See,
And so
that-
he's
that's
seen as a god.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to talk first because you word shit better than me.
I mean, I can't be the first to talk every time in fairness. I have a bad habit of.
We gotta let you get your words out sometimes,
Um,
Darkness. I feel like too many times you're like, yeah, just what Mythic said.
It's because it's like we have the same like thought process a lot of the time.
Of course, and that's great. I like it.
I
But
don't.
what I was gonna say, I think that I agree with you that I think it's a farce. I guess it's not like that's exactly the truth. But I disagree with you that he's a Mistborn. I think there's going to be if it's going to either be Mist Wraith or if it's going to be something completely different. Where when they start using other than the 8 that we know of, like they start using the other metals, in my opinion, or at least if not the other 3 that they kind of hint on, but not like tell you what they are, or the one apparent magic one that he's rumors later. I feel like because it's stated later he's gathering it, so I feel like he probably might have used it at some point. So I feel like it might make him more powerful, and that's where everybody thinks he's like this godly figure. So
We don't.
it's just
Do we-
my
Do we know what he's gathering in the pit?
They're
he's
mining
kinda stated
ATM.
They're mining.
that
they're mining what?
They're mining this
ATM.
mineral that he thinks is the 11th.
No, that is
So
not what he
that's-
thinks the 11th metal is. The ATM is
Oh,
a
I thought he
separate
said-
thing.
no, he said-
No.
Okay, I thought he said he brought something out. He said that
He brought
Nobody knows
something
where it
else
came from.
out. Yeah, he says this is
okay.
a secret rumored metal. We'll get to that later, but it's ATM and the 11th
Yeah.
metal are not the same thing.
What's eating?
It's we'll get to it in chapter 4. We're not there yet.
yeah, I got you.
So anyways, so Kelsier then asks Vin if she knows what she did, which she says she had used her luck. Kelsier explains to never use emotional allomancy on an obligator, as they are trained to know when they are being manipulated, and that is why an Inquisitor was called. Kelsier also explains he did not kill the Inquisitor, just distracted him, and that he should have lost Vin's trail now. Kelsier explains that there is a lot they don't know about Inquisitors, such as how the spikes through their eyes don't kill them. Kelsier notes that Vin hasn't touched her ale, and Vin replies that he could have put something in it. He then brings out a vial of alcohol and metal flakes, which he tells Vin to drink, as they hold 2 of the 8 basic elementic metals to test her powers. Vin tells Kelsier to
First
try.
off, he doesn't tell her that.
Well, yeah,
He
so
doesn't tell her
I'm
that.
summarizing it. He tells her to
straight
drink a
up-
mysterious
yeah.
vial, and then
No,
Doxson says
he
what it is.
straight up says after she goes, no, I don't want to drink the ale because you might have put something in it. This man straight up comes out, holds his vial, and says, nah, this is what I'm gonna have you drink that you don't know. And
Yeah,
you
he's
could
like, drink this
possibly kill you." And
mysterious
I'm like,
vial, and Doxson is like, it's alcohol solution with metals in it. Doxson is like, don't be stupid, Kelsier.
That's ridiculous. Like the reason what he says this is so ridiculous.
Kelsier's is
and then you
ridiculous.
find out later.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Vin,
about the man who just smiles in the face of everything.
yeah. So Vin tells Kelsier to try it first and to shake the vial to make sure he gets some of the sediment. Kelsier does so, and then Vin reluctantly drinks the rest of it. So what do you think about how suspicious Vin is? Do you think she has the right to be this suspicious of them?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Like, why is that a question?
Right? Like, why-
Look, I've
I
told
feel
you
like
before,
anybody in
sometimes-
position
so-
would be suspicious of everybody.
Sometimes I just gotta break things up with a question, okay? I can't be talking for too long by myself.
You could have like
Yes, you can. You could have had a whole bunch of other questions there. Why do you think Kelsier is just this brazen fucking person? Like, goddamn. This man just straight up said, nah, if you want to think I have poison, here's what might be poison. Come on.
Here's the strange, mysterious liquid instead.
No.
Anyway, so Vin thinks nothing is happening.
I straight up, when he pulled it out, thought he was going to be like, nah, I'm going to put this in your ale. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
So Vin thinks nothing has happened.
You're roofing him.
Vin thinks nothing has happened until she reaches for her luck and finds an enormous amount compared to what she normally has. Kelsier tells Vin to try to soothe him, which she does, and then Kelsier tells her to try to do the opposite. She reaches inside herself and then notices she actually has 2 sources of luck and remembers Kelsier saying that there were 8 types. Vin uses her second source of luck on Kelsier, and Kelsier happily replies to Doxson that she can do it. Kelsier then goes on to explain that most people with Allomancy only have 1 power, meaning they are mistings. He then asks Vin about her family, as he says the closer to noble blood, the more likely a mixed breed Scot is to be a misting. Vin explains that her brother Reen had raised her, but she had been told her mother had been a whore, not by choice. She vaguely remembers her mother once trying to kill her, and Reen saving her. She then says her father is a high prelan in the Steel Ministry. So what did you think about Vin's family? About her mother trying to kill her, and then her dad's high-ranking obligator, or high prelan?
Again, I'm a big anime fan here. Not sure if either one of you have ever seen Ragnarok, but in Ragnarok they brought a character that is in real life known as Jack the Ripper, and the story they give him is that his mother was a whore, and she had sex with some very high-ranked person to birth Jack, and then that man left, did not want anything to do with her because she's a whore, and she continued to believe that she was going to see him again at one point. And when it finally came to her that she wasn't, she saw Jack as this evil person and tried to kill him. And because he resembled the person that she was in love with. It kind of feels a lot like that. Like, at some point, she looked at this child and knew that person that she had bore the child with is never coming back, and she took all her anger out on that specific person that she could, because she couldn't to the person who was obviously never coming back.
What do you think, Darkness?
Once again, we go back to the whole morality thing.
What do you think about Vin's
Quiet.
family?
Oh, right. Well, obviously there was issues. Even more issues. Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. The father is gonna come into play for sure. Maybe that's the father I've been waiting for. Papa? But like,
That's probably the father.
yeah, I think he's gonna come into play for sure. Also, I had a thought, like, of just like, I know it's a ramble here, but I had a thought of like how, like, what would happen if they burned 2 metals or more than 1 metal? You know? Like, is it possible?
At the same time, you mean?
Yeah. Like, can you use different powers at the same time?
I don't know. We don't know yet.
You see that voice?
No.
That voice right there. She used it. You heard it.
I mean,
You heard that tone of voice right there.
That's my thought, Darkness, on like what these mispraise things are, right? That they use too many of the powers at the exact same time, meaning they're using too much of their power and their body is not able to handle it, and so hence they become whatever these people are calling mispraise. I honestly have this feeling though that like the word mispraise is going to be like kind of like when he's like, oh, how did they get past the person, you know, or whatever. It's more of like a power they're using, and the people that don't know what allomancy is end up using that like that, but then that kind of got shattered later when these other people that do know allomancy also use the same word. So
I mean,
I feel like it's a misconception.
we still can't discuss what was getting dug up, right?
Not yet. Chapter 4. We're almost there. We've been taking a long time
We're
to get
almost
there.
I know. I told you.
Yeah. So Vin then asks if she is a Misting, and Kelsier says she isn't. That since she has access to 2 of the powers, then she has access to them all, making her a Mistborn. Apparently, even among the noblemen, Mistborn are very rare. Kelsier says it makes her very powerful, and even more powerful because she's not a nobleman and doesn't have to follow their rules. So yeah, so we get it explained here that you either have one power, no powers, or all the powers. It's the only options. 0, 1, or all. So, and then we go into...
kind of aggravated me.
Why?
It's like, well, because like, I feel like Brandon Sanders could have plenty of other names for like all these different types of people. Like somebody could have only 2, and then be blah 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 blah. But it definitely later on made me assume that like if you're a misting, because you have one specific power, maybe kind of like the jack of all trades thing. Like, if you're a jack of all trades, you're master of none. But like if you have only one, you can master it, and then it kind of feels like that's how that works later.
Yeah, like what if they have a super smoker?
Super smoker.
Yeah, or a super soother, or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get into that. But first of all, we have the epigraph for chapter 4, which states, "Apparently, the next stage of my quest will take us up to the highlands of Terrace. This is said to be a cold, unforgiving place, a land where the very mountains are made of ice. Our normal attendants will not do for such a trip. We should probably hire some Terrace packmen to carry our gear." And so, now that we've done all...
Knowing that these are these things, it makes the whole reading so much better for me. Because these were so confusing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now that you know what they are. But yeah, so since we've done all 4 of the epigraphs now for this episode, which I think we've kind of already gone into this a little bit, but I want to ask you, who do you think is writing the epigraphs, and what do you think of that person?
100% believe in what Darkness said, that it might be
the Lord Ruler.
Yeah, but I think it's like a diary entry kind of idea, like where he was learning this power, through time, and like, he's getting better with it, kind of idea, and he's like jotting down notes on, his experience.
So you think this is basically like the Lord Ruler before he became the Lord Ruler, type thing?
Yeah, before he founded the last empire.
I'm kind of glad that the last book didn't have like, I'm lying, but technically, I'm glad that it didn't have like a focused like being above all like sort of ruler sort of thing, like the God King and like fucking Lord Ruler or whatever.
This one Lord Ruler.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Like, they had Wern, right? But like,
yeah.
he wasn't even there, so
Yeah.
But Wern was basically like, he's basically like their pope/king, more so than like...
I hate the fact that we never saw him.
They had the king, they had Elantrians, I mean, there were a couple that were like these.
Because the Lord Ruler is like an immortal being, and the God King in like Warbreaker was kind of supposed to be like an all-powerful being, whereas like Wern is just like Pope, basically.
Yeah, but like
the Elantrians were immortal beings.
Yeah, but there were
true.
multiple of them, and they weren't the sole rulers, so
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, they kind of were at the beginning.
they were like
Before they became.
Well, they said they were fine with
Like,
people
before they became-
practicing other religions, and we find out that they had their own religion, kind of thing.
Did they have a king?
The Elantrians, I don't think we know if they had a king.
How the
But I
fuck
mean,
did their
it was
entire
also stated that they believed they were gods, though, beforehand. Before they became.
No, it said the people regard them as
like,
gods. They said based on what they saw in that
Yeah.
one building that had the library beneath it, that they don't think they thought themselves as gods.
because there
Yeah,
was
the Elantrians didn't believe themselves to be gods,
Yeah.
but the other people did.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but I'm just glad there wasn't one,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I understand what you're saying. It makes.
I feel like if I had if you read a book that had another like main focus character that's like all powerful and shit, I would be so annoyed. I wouldn't be able to
I would-
here.
Yeah, I would see it more as just Sanderson's way of writing and all, honestly. But yeah.
Where were we?
Anyways, yeah. So we just finished the epigraph.
Right on the edge.
So the rest of Kammen's crew are back in the lair now, as Kelsier had allowed them back in for a bit before his meeting. They're discussing what Kelsier's potential plan could be. Vin thinks that she would have preferred to stay alone and contemplates if Yulev had ever really been her friend, as he'd sold her out pretty quickly. Diston, a man missing a hand, then asked if Kelsier had said anything to Vin about the job. Vin just shakes her head. Kelsier and Doxson had implied that she would be invited to participate in the job if she wanted when they left. Kamen's, now Milev's, crew assumed Vin was going to be Kelsier's twixt, a go-between contact for special Alamancer thieving crews and normal thieving crews. So what do you think about the fact that Kelsier and Doxson want Vin to come in on their job?
I mean, why wouldn't they? They know what she is.
Yeah, I mean, they still just met her, though. Based on what we know, like, they seem to know all the other guys.
Okay, but regardless of whether they just met her, they meet another person just like, you know. him.
Yeah, it's true. They're apparently very, very rare, they say.
They also have stated already the fact that, like, they kind of know about her and her exploits so far.
Yeah, it sounds like Doxson's been stalking her.
Like,
Yeah, so, like, I don't feel like it's really that they don't know her. They know her. They
That's
just,
true.
she doesn't really know them.
Yeah.
that's true, yeah. It's like finding a shiny.
I mean, this woman was with a guy who was beating the shit out of her, and she continued to stay loyal to him. Even in the end, even though the guy didn't think so, she was still loyal to him in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's ironic
just-
because she mistrusts everyone.
yeah, like, but I mean, like, she wasn't leaving to go, you know, spill his secret of, like, him betraying the man.
Yeah, she just didn't want to get killed because she's like, shit's gonna go down.
Exactly. Like, I feel like in my opinion, he probably wouldn't have listened. But in my opinion, instead of telling this other guy, I would have went to Kamen, whatever his name is,
Kamen, yeah.
and been like, hey, I would have been like, hey, I have this bad feeling, probably gonna get attacked. Probably not a good idea to be here. Maybe I'm wrong, but what if I'm right? Like, you know, kind of a deal, like, kind of persuade him into leaving. And then they would have both left. And if the two guys had never really actually, you know, tailed them and got them to leave, you know, like, make them not tail them, no idea, if Kel and them didn't stop them, everybody else would be dead. She would obviously be like a, you know, godsend to him, his lucky charm, like, you know, and he would have been still alive. I feel like that's how she could have gone about it. She didn't, so
Mm-hmm.
she still stayed loyal to him. So, like, I feel like they look at that part more
Yeah.
than anything else. Like, they're looking at the fact that the person who's beating her, she stayed loyal to. So let's not beat her, and she probably might still stay loyal to us. Or maybe we'll beat her, and then she'll still stay loyal to us.
So Vin notes that Ulev had quickly stopped being awkward around her, as betrayal was normal in the underworld. She wondered if Kelsier and Doxson weren't worried about betrayal as they seemed so close. She also notes that they were willing to trust her, which is odd. She then asked the other crew members about Kelsier, and Ulev explains that Kelsier had been the best crew leader in Luthadel, but had been betrayed by someone. The Lord Ruler caught Kelsier and sent him and his wife to the pits of Hathen, but Kelsier escaped, the only one to ever have. However, his wife didn't make it. So what did you think about Kelsier being the only person to have ever escaped the pits of Hathen?
Well, first off, even before we got the big bombshell of what he plans on doing, I was already like, this man's gonna murder him. Like, you killed his wife. Then the other thing I thought about is, like, okay, so somebody had maybe, you know, given this man some information that caused this issue, this problem of being sent to the pits. So maybe he's also going for that person, and maybe that person might be closer than he thinks. Maybe he's the guy that he's putting a lot of trust in right now. That goes on that whole thing of last book about the guy that I did not see coming, that he was going to just destroy the shit out of everybody.
They haven't discussed how he got his powers, right?
No, they haven't. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll just
well,
be able to
I'm gonna
report.
go into that now. So Ulev and Diston then discuss different ways Kelsier may have escaped. They also say he entered the pits as a regular Ska and came out as an Alamancer. The man said Harud says that he isn't sure if Kelsier is even human anymore, as they're a mist race in the mist outside the city, and they'll take a man's face. Diston says he thinks Kelsier is a Mistborn. Finn knows that Mistborn were supposed to only be noblemen and said to be secret assassins for the Lord Ruler. Green had told them they were just Mists. And then they had like a whole bunch of like weird, crazy out there theories about So what do you think a Mistwraith is, and do you think Kelsier is still himself?
I've already stated what I think of this. But and I honestly don't know, but if he is a Mistwraith that took the face of some guy, that would be awesome.
What do you think, Darkness?
Kelsier hasn't spoken about how he got his powers, right?
No, I don't believe so. I think he just says that he... I think it's
Does
only been
later
ever been
book,
said by him or
but
anyone
it's
else that he
definitely-
went to the pits and came back an Allomancer.
Well,
Is that what he said? I thought he said something.
he talks about it. He's like,
He talks
well,
about it
like,
briefly.
yeah.
I think he says, does he say... What exactly does he say again?
Okay, but like, how are you not taking so much interest in that when I don't know if it's like a mistake in my book or something, but when he says I snapped, it's capitalized with an S.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it... I don't think it's capitalized in my book.
No way, there's no way it's not.
Where what page is that on again?
Because when he says that, I feel like it's an awakening sort of thing.
I'll be honest, I was doing this chapter 4 like really last minute before lunch, so I might have just accidentally skipped that over because I was doing it really last minute.
I need you to double check that it's not capitalized on yours because
Okay.
if it is,
I'm trying to find where it is. Do you know exactly where in chapter 4 it is?
Right where he's probably where he's talking about how he got the powers, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just
like
trying to
where
find
he
one.
talks about it.
it's where I'm pretty sure it's where he talks about how what they're like, what it actually is, like what the pit actually is.
Yeah. Where they're talking about how they're mining.
Oh yeah, I spent a year in the pits when we were certain he can afford to. It's a hellhole. We have a chance. Think actively working with hope. Blah. I remember vaguely him talking about, but I can't find it at the moment.
So, while you're still looking for it, I also remember when they were talking about that, the person that's reading the book also emphasized the snap thing. So, I
Yeah,
feel
probably
like it
snapped.
was pretty big.
Yeah, did they? The snapping should be emphasized. I forgot to do that, but I think they talk about it in chapter 4.
Yeah.
Snapping is a thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Darkness. That it could be a thing where he snapped and evolved into this form of Mistborn.
Because not only that, but obviously some of the medals are tied into emotions. So obviously seeing his like wife die, succumb to that, maybe that's what made him quote unquote snap, capitalize that.
Could be a good catalyst, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I also kind of want to go on the fact of like,
Wait,
how did somebody know that there's ska going in and not ska coming out? Like a normal person.
You mean an Allomancer versus non-Allomancer?
Yeah,
What?
but like, how do you just know that? Like, she obviously, Vin had no idea she was an Allomancer, and if she went in there. And
Well, I mean, he
had,
obviously
like,
knows these people from before he was an Allomancer. He might just know how Allomancy works and like had trace metals and was like, wait a second, I feel something.
But-
This is what other people have described.
okay.
But
Um,
what
I don't
I'm
know.
saying is,
We
like,
I'm not.
how did these people-
I don't want to give away any information from later in the book. This is just what I'm saying based on what we have
I'm also-
currently.
I'm also thinking, no, I think it got away.
that whole thing.
Anyways, we should keep going so we can do our overall thoughts near the
What
end.
if I don't want
Just keep going back to stuff that happens like right at the end of this chapter.
I know.
So Milev then tells everyone to get out as it's time for Kelsier's meeting. Everyone but Vin leaves, Kelsier having made sure to let Milev's crew know Vin was invited. The first man to enter has the build of a soldier and wears a sleeveless shirt. The man that follows him wears a nobleman's suit, including a hat and dueling cane. The man in the suit
I like him
asks,
the best.
The man in the suit asks if Kelsier is here yet, and Vin says no. He then says he could use something to drink, and Vin rushes to get him something. Soldier man Ham then tells the suited man Breeze not to push someone around just because he can. This causes Vin to realize he had been using luck on her. She notes that when Kelsier had done it, it was obvious, but it hadn't been obvious to her with Breeze. So what were your first impressions of Breeze?
I love Breeze.
I love Breeze too. He's one of my favorites.
Good. Oh
Yeah.
my god, just the way he is unapologetically doing this.
I
And then
love
the later
Breeze.
thing of him like them having a like debate about if this is like forcing people to do things, I was just like, I love this man.
I love
He
Breeze.
is so good. He's so fucking
So
fun.
yeah, so Vin then accuses him of being a Mistborn, but Breeze replies he's just a humble misting, and that he pushed on her emotions, soothing her. Pulling is different. Ham then asks if Breeze took.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Ham then asks if Breeze took away her choice by soothing her, and Breeze says he didn't. He just offered her encouragement, that he won't argue with Ham on it. Vin sits at a table next to the one Breeze and Ham are at and asks if Ham is also misting. He says he's a thug, a misting who burns pewter, which makes him stronger. So what were your first impressions of Ham?
He seems like a macho person.
Yeah, I thought he was like, oh, he's there. He's like strong. Okay, moving on. You know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Also,
Far away from me.
I just remembered what I wanted to say. So, each person is like, no, not each person, but like each person that can do allomancy that is not a Mistborn, which is like a misting or whatever.
Yeah.
It has one category of like a metal they can do, right?
Yeah, one metal.
Why not that category be the special metals instead of the basic ones?
Could have a misting that does that. We haven't even gotten to that metal in the first place. But...
Yeah. So like,
so
I'm
there could be a misting who's like that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be like a huge thing there.
I mean,
Anyway.
I definitely know this is where I started thinking about the fact that like the jack of all trade thing, when he started using it, and she stated the fact that like it was different than the way Kel had done it. Like with Kel, she knew that he was doing it, but like she had no idea.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's like he's when you're trained, or when you're only able to do one, you're going to obviously try to be the best at that one specific thing.
Yeah.
So like learn how to do very well, and then like a jack of all trades, you have all of them. They're probably all just kind of there. They're not the best, but they're good. You know.
Yeah. But they can obviously do things Mistings can't, because they can do like multiple things, so they'll be able to do kind of combos. So a new man then enters a room wearing simple clothing and seems angry and has a knotted face. He goes to sit by himself, walking with a limp, and Breeze mentions that he'll miss Trap. Ham says Clubs is a good man, and when Breeze wonders if he can make Clubs bring him a drink, Ham says he'd pay money to see that. When Finn asks what Clubs is, Ham explains that Clubs is a smoker and will keep Inquisitors from finding them. So what was your first impression of Clubs?
I think all of these guys are pretty cool. I mean, the one dude's kind of a throwaway for me. With the bodyguard aspect, it doesn't really seem like his is going to be anything great. Like, okay, cool, you're strong. Like, you know, I definitely focus much more on people who have a different thing that like isn't just brute strength.
You like more emotional allomancy?
Or what I assume the smoker is able to do to like cloak them in some way, shape, or form. Like,
yeah, I was wondering if smokers are gonna be like the type to like either cloak, like be able to cloak against the what is it, the fucking Steel Inquisitors or whatever.
Inquisitors.
Yeah, be able to cloak it because of like, you know, the magic's gonna be everywhere, right? If it's like actual smoke, or if the Steel Inquisitors are there to find smokers.
I don't think they're there to find smokers. I think Steel Inquisitors are kind of, and this is just my opinion, but she could be right. But I think my opinion on it is more that they're almost like bodyguards that are using basically like their mistings for steel, and they're using the steel to be like use that power to help these other people, whatever fuck what they called,
Their support.
Their support to the whatever they're called. Who followed? It was two people. It was the Steel Inquisitor, and then what was the other person he directed away?
Obligator.
Yeah, they're like the basically they're like the pewter person for the Obligators. They're the muscle in some shape or form. Whether the power is, I don't know if the power is exactly like the pewter in any way or shape or form, but like that kind of idea. Like they're their power, they're their backing.
I don't know. I
feel like that's.
I see them more as
But
like I see them
agree
more
with
as
you on
like
the smoker thing.
sentinels. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
they're like honing in like cameras and stuff.
Yeah, like that's what he said, that they can track her, and then he's like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
and I feel
hopefully
like
they don't still have your scent.
I feel like if that's the case, and they can track like people using it like pretty easily, then maybe it's like
Yeah, I mean, and I can agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the smokers are going to be there to, in some way, shape, or form, stop Steel Inquisitors from like being able to track them. And I kind of agree with what you said. Like let's say it's a material thing, right? And they actually create smoke. Maybe the smoke is just a bunch of allomancy, and it's really hard to like then focus on specific allomancies inside of it, which would be really cool. I mean, that'd be a really nice idea, and it kind of takes both the points.
I wonder how
It's
much
not just the smoke.
Great. So we then move on, and Ham says he likes Vin, and Breeze mentions that lower thieving crews are called crumbs. He also tries to soothe Vin again, and she tells him to stop. Vin notes that Kelsier doesn't seem to have told them she's a Mistborn. It's also mentioned that besides Kelsier and Doxson, they're just waiting on Yedin, whom Breeze and Ham don't seem keen on. Yedin then enters the room wearing simple grey clothing. He seems disapproving, but not as hostile as Clubs. Vin notes the crew seems small, but remembers Ham mentioning that he has a group of thugs and wonders if these people are just representatives of small specialized crews. Kelsier and Doxson then finally show up, Kelsier glad to see everyone there. Ham and Breeze both greet Kelsier happily, and Kelsier says the reason they're late is because they were visiting his brother, who would not be joining them today, but Kelsier was sure he'd be joining the crew eventually. Vin notes the tension regarding the mentions of Kelsier's brother. So, do you think Marsh will join them eventually?
Yes.
I think Marsh has issues and needs therapy already.
I
think they all need therapy.
What character in Brandon Sanders's books don't need therapy?
I think Marsh specifically needs hella therapy. I don't even know him yet, but I can feel it.
What's her name? Mabs? Is it Mabs?
Oh, she never needed therapy? Yeah.
She didn't need therapy. She was perfect the way she was.
I'm surprised you remembered her, but didn't remember Hoyt's name.
First off, Mabs is an amazing character. Hoyt is a throwaway for me. I did not expect him to ever be back in this in any instance. The storyteller. He was throwaway to me.
Yeah.
Mabs single-handedly made Siri better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No. When you said Mabs, I instantly got the image right in my head. When you said what's his name again?
Hoyt.
I was like, who?
Nobody.
Yeah, I was like, I was like.
Anyways, let's keep going. Breeson asks Kelsier to finally explain the job, and Kelsier says that Yedin is their employer, which shocks the others. Yedin says he despises people like the crew members, but he needs their skills. Vin is confused at first, then it's mentioned that Yedin is part of the Ska Rebellion. Kelsier then says they're going to help Yedin overthrow the final empire. So what was your first impression of Yedin?
I don't like him.
Yeah, same. A little hoity-toity to me.
So everyone is shocked and silent, but Kelsier says they can do it, they have a vision and can execute a plan, whereas the rebels in the past have not been able to do much, which Yedin is annoyed by. Kelsier says they're the most capable and clever Allomancers in the city, plus Yedin has already paid them. Vin thinks this must be a front somehow to scam the Skull Rebellion, but she's confused because Yedin has apparently already paid them, so why continue like this? They've apparently been paid 30,000 boxings, which Ham does not think is enough for the job. But Yen replies it's everything that the rebellion has saved for over decades. Kelsier also then brings up that once the rebellion gets control of the palace and thus the treasury, he's promised them half the Lord Ruler's ATM reserve, no matter how big it is. Vin notes that ATM is supposedly incredibly rare and only used by noblemen. So what do you think ATM is?
Metal. But
I wonder what it is. There has to be a healing metal, right?
A what metal?
Right? A healing.
Oh, I did not even think of that when I was making the list of all of these 8. I didn't think of a healing metal.
So Kelsier then explains the plan to take out the Luthadel garrison and then throw the city into chaos. Once the city is in chaos, Yedin will bring the rebellion into the city and take the palace, as well as capturing the Lord Ruler. Then they will take half the Atium and leave. Yedin is in charge of dealing with a way to keep the palace and city. Yedin explains that just taking the palace will bring a lot of hope to the sky, even if they can't keep it and end up dead. Kelsier also says that taking the Atium will leave the Lord Ruler financially ruined and unable to hire armies. So, what did you think about the plan?
It sounds great. It's gonna go wrong everywhere though.
The first plan sounds awesome.
Alright. So Ham then asks, what about the Koloss, which Kelsier says he can't march on the city as it would cause destruction worse than the financial ruin. Kelsier notes that in the chaos, the provincial noblemen will likely set themselves up as kings, and Yedin can hopefully keep Luthadel, and the rest of them will be very rich. Clubs brings up the Steel Ministry and the Inquisitors, but Kelsier says he has plans for that. What do you think a Koloss is? We really don't get anything besides their name and that they call them creatures.
When they said that, I pictured a bunch of things, like, I don't know, for some reason I pictured like giant metal beasts, like dogs and stuff, like hellhounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mythic?
I honestly don't even remember them in the book, so
it was literally just like one sentence they're mentioned.
Yeah, I can't really tell you what I thought.
Alright, so
Maybe
Breeze...
they're just like, oh, never mind.
No, go ahead.
Maybe they're just like normal people, but like a special metal gives them the a berserker power. Yeah, essentially the Hulk.
So Breeze then asks what happens if the Lord Ruler just mines more Atium, as no one knows where the mine is. Kelsier then says he knows where the mine is. It's the pits of Hassan, and it's why no one can survive it, because the Lord Ruler can't have it getting out where the mine is. He continues his speech before asking each person if they're in. Ham agrees, even if it's foolhardy. Breeze hesitates but agrees, and Clubs, however, says no and leaves, which Yedin worries about, but Kelsier says it's fine to just let him go. Then thinks Kelsier must have assassins going after Clubs, as it's impossible to trust someone with a plan. Kelsier then asks Finn if she's in, which she agrees and joins their table. Kelsier then reveals that she's a Mistborn as well, which Yedin thinks is impossible, as apparently he doesn't even know Kelsier is a Mistborn. So do you think Clubs is going to be killed for leaving? Do you think she's right that Kelsier's going to send assassins or something?
I don't think he's going to be killed. I think he's going to be manipulated.
I mean, he does know too much, so.
So, before they end their meeting, Kelsier says he has one more thing to mention. If possible, he's going to kill the Lord Ruler. Finn thinks Kelsier must be insane. Kelsier goes on to say...
I don't remember him saying if possible.
He does say, because he says he's not sure he'll be able to.
Okay, I don't remember him saying if possible. I definitely remember, maybe I just thought a thought in my head.
Yeah, no, he says no, it specifically says... the exact quote is, "No," Kelsier said. "If I can, I'm going to kill him too." So he says, "If I can."
I noticed that and I stuck with it because I really like the fact that instead of focusing purely on the revenge and stuff, he's like, if I can do it, then I'm gonna do it.
But he's still going to do it.
He could try.
Yeah, he's probably gonna try, but he also says, I mean, at the end that you guys don't worry about it. This is my thing that I'm gonna try and do. You guys just focus on everything else. Yeah, so Vin thinks Kelsier must be insane. Kelsier goes on to say that the Lord Ruler took Mare from him. Just can put it out there, Mare's his wife, obviously. And almost took his sanity as well. He then takes out a bar of metal. He says that there is a rumor that the Lord Ruler can be killed with an 11th metal, this metal that is silvery white in color. He explains that there are 10 metals, the 8 basic metals, and the 2 higher metals, but that this metal is supposedly even stronger than all the other 10. He says he got it from a place in the north near the far peninsula where people still remember their old kingdom from before the Ascension. So what do you think about Kelsier's plan to kill the Lord Ruler and about the 11th metal?
Well, I originally remember thinking that the 11th metal was just him pulling out a bar of atrium. But
Atium.
yeah, atrium.
Yeah, but it's not, because they've never heard of this thing before. They would probably know about Atium, because everyone knows about Atium.
Yeah, but how many of them have actually ever seen it, though? Like,
I don't know. Well, I mean, considering it's Kelsier, he would probably have told them it's Atium. Because he's been minding it.
yeah.
I'm more interested in the fact that he talked about that place before the Ascension.
Where people remember the name of the Old Kingdom from before the Ascension.
Yeah, so I was thinking like that metal. Okay, so I'm thinking that's before the Lord Ruler, that's his name or whatever. That was before his I feel like he snapped the same way that
Kelsier
Kelsier
did.
did. Yeah. And it's like fuck. It's like he did it and he like ingested a not common metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like he ingested one of the rare ones, and possibly it's that 11th metal. So it's like sort of like a Wolverine situation, where like if you like one of the only things that can fuck him up is like that same metal that he was injected with.
I see.
Yeah. I'm curious because how is snapping not like seen as more common? Because that seems to be like a catalyst, right?
Yeah, I think maybe, if I remember correctly, I think the reason I didn't mention something was because, again, like, there wasn't, like, a lot of context. Because, like, sometimes you guys are like, oh, I have no idea, because there's, like, not a lot of context for things if I ask about them. Although it seems like in this book you're a lot happier to respond to stuff than you were in Elantris, so...
Well, technically, I only realized that it's because I learned from your thing where you're like, sometimes the things are capitalized here.
Yes, capitalization is usually very, very important in his books. But yeah, so our last little bit here, and then we can do our overview. Kelsier says he doesn't know how to use the metal yet, but he'll find out. He also says that this is just his task and for the others not to worry about it. Ben thinks that she's bound herself to a madman, but it doesn't matter as long as he teaches her allomancy. So before I get into my final questions, what are your guys' thoughts on those chapters and everything there?
I wanted a little bit of a theory here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, what if all that ATM or whatever is them, maybe not ATM or like some whatever they're like other metals, because I thought they're just mining ATM down there in the pit. Whatever other metal allows them to become like how mythic. I'm pretty sure mythic things is what's it called? Mysteries? Yeah. I was thinking like, what if that's like a thing they're doing, and they're doing it like they're doing it like specifically at night, right? And that's why there's so much mist all around, and it's like felled people, like people who couldn't like really control this shit. So I'm just like, what if they go out at night and they're breathing into people,
That'd be weird.
And that's why people are like, oh, they if you go out at night and during the mist, you'll go crazy. Yeah, you'll go crazy and shit. You'll lose your mind. It's because you're seeing all these people and they're in your shit. So I'm just like that'd be like, it's probably not like that, but like it'd be a cool thing. Like,
okay, so you just tell me when I'm able to give you the list of what I think these metals do.
Yeah, this is going to be one of my questions here in the overview. We'll do that in a second.
Okay.
My first question before that was, do you think we'll meet Green at some point in this book, or is he going to be more like Ridger from Warbreaker, where he's just mentioned and we never actually meet him?
No, we're gonna see.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna meet him. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like they're gonna be a notable person.
Yeah. So then, what do you think each of the 8 basic metals do? The ones that we know is tin enhances senses, and you're called a tin eye when you do it. Pewter enhances strength, and you're called a thug. We know zinc pulls on emotions. We do not know the name people have for it. And then we also know that there is one that Breeze uses, which is pushing on emotions, and they're called soothers, but we don't know which of the metals that is. And so the metals we don't know are iron, steel, brass, copper, and bronze.
Okay. So, Darkness, I would like you to go first before I go through this entire list, because I don't want to sway you on this question.
Okay.
So brass, I think, is that like force one, like the push one.
Okay, so you think that was what Kelsey was using to push Cam in?
Yeah, I think there is a healing one.
Okay, so do you have an idea of which one of the?
I don't know which one. I don't think it's a
Okay.
common one.
Well, let's go easy. Which metal do you think Breeze uses for soothing? So there's iron, steel, copper, and bronze. If you think that brass is the pushing one.
I don't. No, iron, steel. Repeat that.
Copper and bronze.
I think it's iron.
Iron. Okay, and then we also have smoker, which we don't fully know what it does, but that's what Clubs is, and we don't know what metal his is either. So is his then steel, copper, or bronze?
I think smokers are copper.
I think they're copper. Okay, so then what do we have left then? Steel and bronze, I think, are the
Steel
last
is
two.
whatever, obviously, what the steel inquisitors are.
Okay, so then you think bronze maybe might be the healing one?
I don't know if there's gonna be a healing one. I don't know if it's gonna be like a.
You think that might be like one of the higher
Yeah.
metals? Because there are the
Yeah.
2 high metals as well. But we'll ask Mythic about the 8 basic ones first, and then I was going to ask you guys what you think the 2 higher metals are and what the 11th metal is. So Mythic, what do you think about the 8 metals?
Alright, so I think this is how I have it written down. Aside from the other ones that you've already stated, because I actually got one of those wrong, but it's okay.
Wait. Oh, sorry.
Because I put pewter's a different thing, but
Yeah.
I kind of. I think steel is going to be like looking for somebody. So the Steel Inquisitors.
So it's gonna have some sort of
sense
vision
other
thing.
Almatic, or like something. And it also makes me think that it's a vision thing because they're literally putting not nails, but spikes into their face through their eyes. And then I think that the iron is the like pushing thing that he did, the like telepathy thing he did kind of idea where he pushed the guy away. What was that, Darkness?
It's telekinesis.
Yeah, okay, so and then for the other ones, actually I lumped them all into categories because once I started doing this, I started getting different things coming off of them. But I think bronze was like not bronze, sorry. What was it?
Brass?
Well, now, wait, no. Yeah, but because now I changed it a little bit because the pewter changed, so I swapped the two. So what I had pewter was for the like soothing thing.
Okay.
But I changed it with bronze. I think
Okay.
bronze is the like soothe and whatever. But that's only because I swapped between I thought pewter and bronze was. And then brass I have as like kind of the same idea, like it, but not. So there's pushing and pulling, but like I feel like there was an anger thing too that they did at one point. I don't remember if that was a pull thing.
That was
or a
zinc.
push thing.
That was pulling on emotions.
Is it zinc?
Yeah.
Is it zinc that was able to do that? Okay. So zinc is the one that pulls. Okay. Well, I made it anger, but brass was anger for me. I don't know why. And then I also did. What was it that I had? Seeing, like you could see into the future kind of idea for copper. Like you could. I want to make a One Piece reference, but I'm trying to think of a different way of putting it. Like you're observant. You're very observant. So observant that you can almost like see slight bits into the future, like so that you could dodge things that were coming.
I see.
But yeah.
I just want to bring up. Didn't Kelsier use fire in the beginning?
Kelsier did not use fire.
No, he
For the
said he
mention.
burned his. He said he burned his thing.
Yeah, when you use your elemental abilities, it's called burning the metal.
No,
Oh,
I mean like
also
for the mansion.
For the mansion, I mean the mansion was on fire. It's never
He just
stated that he
burned
like
it.
somehow
Yeah, he just burned
uses
it,
fire
and-
magic. I mean, if
Yeah,
you want, you can guess that there's
also-
fire magic, but
I
it's
think
never
there's
specifically
I
stated.
think there's some fucking paramedic
fire.
abilities
Pyromantic
happening.
magic. That'd be really fucking cool. Also, the 4 categories I lumped them into, because after I did all this, I started lumping them into categories. It seems as if there's at least 3 of these seem to fall into a category of a physical trait, a mental trait, and an enhancement. Because 10, I did more as fortitude, as in like you're bumping all of what you already have, like all your senses get heightened, so you're fortifying it instead. And so it would be an enhancement, like it enhances you in some way. Where now pewter, because it was bronze before, but pewter is like physical, like you are actually being getting stronger. You are actually being able to do it, and then the emotional ones or whatever that make them push and pull are obviously mental. And I also lumped the telepathy thing into there. But like, and then I have one other one that I feel like could be a thing, but be like spirit, like I was going on the mist idea, like them becoming mist, like it allows you to do other things, and that's kind of where I lumped my oracle thing, where like you could see into the future kind of idea. I put that into that like other category. I also have the other 2 that I think are metals, but only because I think they're metals. I hope they're in here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are those the 2 high metals you were thinking of?
Yeah, the
So
other
that's my
2
next
that
question.
aren't set. Well, I actually have all 3 of the ones that I think are the next ones.
Okay, well, first of all, what do you think the 2 high metals are, both of you?
Gold, and electrum, which are both metals in D&D, like the type of coins.
What do you
I
think,
thought
Chris?
gold. I thought gold as well. I didn't know what the other one was, but I kind of want to roll on the obsidian path.
Obsidian, yeah, that's my third
Yeah.
one. No? Obsidian's my third that I think is
So
there.
what do you think
And
the
then I
11th
think
metal is then?
is obsidian, I think, but I also think it this metal that he's mining
Adium?
could technically be whatever it is. That's what I was originally thinking. But I have a lot of metals on this list that I think could be things.
I will
so,
confirm Atium is not the 11th metal. Atium is not the 11th metal.
well,
It's
then-
just
I'm not
the
going to tell
high
you
one.
if it's a metal that they use, but it's not the 11th metal.
Mhm.
It could or could not be
Gotcha.
something else. But the 11th metal, because Kelsier specifically mined Atium at the pits, and he got the 11th metal somewhere else. Like, and it's definitely not. Like, they know that it's not Atium.
Okay. Also, it's not. Is it concreted stated that there's only the 11 or 10 metals and then this 11 random metal?
Well, so they have the 8 basic metals, and then they've heard of these 2 higher metals, and then Kelsier's coming out of nowhere saying there's an 11th metal.
Okay, but
Other-
but yeah. Okay, so I'm saying so there's nothing concreted that said any of these other ones that are on my list aren't also metals.
Yes, there's nothing concrete because
I think-
it can be implied basically that until this
There could be
point,
silver. There could be obsidian. There could be aluminum. There could be a whole bunch
Silver
of
can be
chrome.
the-
That's the other one I have chrome.
Silver can be the earring.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. Like
you
that's
think her
silver,
earring's
and then
silver?
yeah, I think she's gonna
Silver's
find
the
out.
11th?
She's no, I think she's
Oh.
gonna find out. Not necessarily that silver's the 11th, but like I think that's a whole different thing. But like I think she's gonna like eventually fucking eat that earring and the obsidian at some point.
So what if, right? Aside from this special metal, right, that may or may not exist. What if, let's go on the object, right, that there is more than just 10 metals. What if there's a metal, like the basic metal, and then there's a metal that does the same thing, but in like greater quantity. So like there might be 16 metals. I don't know what all 16 are because I don't have 16 on this list. I can think of more, I'm sure.
Sorry, why do you think it's 16?
Well, because what if because like there's two metals, right? Okay, so there's obviously two metals that do very similar things, which is pushing and pulling in emotions. So what if, right? What if, one metal is just a stronger version of that metal, right? Like, maybe. I'm trying to think of how to explain it. Can't think of how this would go. What if, like, if you took. The only way I can explain it would be to use almost the metals that are already in here. But like if iron was stronger than steel, like iron is stronger than steel. So like, what if that was, like it was upgrading, But
Why don't
like, I feel like you could come up. Sanderson could come up with like different names for like new metals because he came up with whatever atrium, right?
ATM, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think I've ever heard of that as a metal. Maybe it is. I don't know.
ATM, I don't believe it's a real metal. No, it's a thing he made.
Yeah, like so maybe he comes up with different names, but like something's just telling me that there might be stronger versions of the metal, or maybe it just like powers up the metal you already have. So like if you have iron in your body, maybe another metal in your body will make it stronger. Like it'll empower the metal, kind of idea. But like, I don't know, I have so many on this list that are above 10, and you could, actually above 11, sorry, because special metal, that like, there could be more metal, because more metal exists IRL, and obviously Electrum, which I came up with from fucking D&D, so, like, I do a lot of things with D&D.
I think the quality of the metal, like the refinement of it, also has a big factor on it. And also, why have they not like, maybe they have and we're just not there yet and we don't know about it, but like, if I were them, I would have experimented in like infusing metals together.
I mean, I think some of these metals are alloys. Brass, is it brass that's one, or is it bronze that's one? Like there are alloys which are basically two metals together.
Yeah.
Yeah, brass is copper and zinc together.
So why not just try it with all of them? Like,
you don't know, they haven't. We don't know.
Yeah, sometimes maybe that's what makes Mistborn.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why? Like different combinations of these can have different effects.
Putting two together might make something different.
Yes.
All right, my final question for you guys: who is your favorite and least favorite character so far?
Least favorite, Cadam, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Cameron?
Yeah, whatever. And my favorite is definitely gotta be toss up, honestly, right now it's a toss up between what's his name?
Breeze?
The main guy, no.
Oh,
Breeze
Kelsier?
and the other guy, Kelsier. Yeah. Or it's a toss up between them because I like them both. They're fucking awesome.
What about you, Darkness?
And then some good literature.
I think my favorite character right now. I know y'all gonna think this is weird, but I like the writing the paragraphs.
Like the person writing the epigraphs?
Yeah, whoever that is, I wanna know.
Oh, you like them?
And who's your least favorite?
Cool.
That fucking dude that starts with a Y.
Oh,
The
Yedin?
leader of the rebellion. Yeah. I don't like him.
Oh,
Also,
I'll
I
let...
think Kelsier is gonna betray her, by the way.
Oh, Kelsier's gonna betray Ben?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean like what was his name from it starts with a D, I think, right? Fuck. The guy from Warbreaker.
From Warbreaker.
No.
You mean Denth?
Well, what?
Oh, Bluefingers.
Yeah. No, like Denth.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think it'd be like Denth.
I will tell you my favorite characters for this book specifically, because I don't want to give any spoilers if someone survives or not, because this is, instead of being one book, it's a trilogy, right? But for this book specifically, my favorite characters are a toss-up between Breeze and Marsh.
Marsh. Okay, we'll see.
You guys haven't met him yet, but I'll just say I like him. He's Kelsier's brother. You guys haven't properly met him. Yeah, but Breeze and Marsh.
Okay, so have we gotten his name?
Yes, you briefly got his name when Kelsier and Doxson met up.
Okay.
Yeah. He said he might join.
Most of the time, they just refer to him as Kelsier's brother.
But
Yeah.
okay, so
But yeah, Breeze and Marsh are my favorites.
Breeze stays
In this book,
alive.
I will not say for future books for the whole trilogy because I don't want to imply if they survive or not.
Which means that they don't.
I'm not
Okay.
saying anything.
yeah,
I'm not getting
So-
emotionally
Yeah, like,
attached to anyone.
Or sure you are.
Anyways, we should probably end it. We've been going for almost 3 hours.
That's okay.
We'll see how the next episode goes. I
Okay,
may have to
yeah.
go back down to 50 pages instead of 60 like we were doing with Elantris.
No,
So,
but,
I
mean,
might have
can-
to if we're
we
taking
can
3
do
hours.
this for a long time. Okay.
Anyways, I'll give
I
it
can
another
do
couple
it every
episodes.
time.
I'll do it for another couple episodes at what my normal rate was going to be, just because it is the first episode, so there's a lot to talk about. But for next chapter, because of how long the chapters are, we're only doing 2 chapters, which is chapter 5 and 6, because they're both like 25 to 30 pages each.
Are you kidding me? God damn.
Literally, they're so long each.
Well, yeah, I agree because I read the first 3 chapters before, like while on the ride back to the hotel every day, and then this last chapter I literally sat here and listened to an hour-long chapter. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Holy shit, this is the longest chapter I've ever fucking read."
One
Yeah.
of them was so long.
Yeah.
This is extremely long.
Yeah, so they're
So I
quite
can agree
long.
with you on 2 chapters.
So yeah, it's just 2 chapters this one time because they're quite long, and also the chapter 7 is quite long, so I could not fit in another chapter. I was like, because these ones technically are a little under 60, but I was like, if I go chapter 7, it's gonna be like freaking 80 or 90 pages, so I can't. So, anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out, and thanks to all of our listeners. We really appreciate you. Yeah, bye.
Get the
Bye.
comments.
Feel free to message us about how you thought their theories are for their first chapters.
Also, Vin, if you're watching, tell us how it goes.